As one
And
should.
yeah, no, he's like the end of that game is you're fighting like gods and shit, and Dracula is like easily the toughest thing you can fight. It rules
Hell yeah. Let's
because
fucking
he's like
go.
the DLC boss.
Nice.
And see, what's also really funny is not only did they reveal Dracula, but like I was saying, after I finished Malekith, then they revealed more of the nerfs, and everyone was like, "You just got GW," and I was like, "No, no, God damn it, why?"
The old G dubbed.
Yeah,
I mean, he had a long time in the sun, you know.
yeah. Well,
he did.
yeah, I
It was only
played
like
him up
9 months
until-
too long. It's fine. Everything's
I
fine.
played him up until I think Sam. It was in your tournament was the last time I played him, and then
Yeah.
September. I said, all right, I'm not playing him again until he's painted because I felt bad. Then he got the one set of nerfs. I was like, cool. And then they did the new ones, and I was bummed because like, man, this is like a lot. And then someone said, oh, he got Hex on Butcher of Throws. I was like, yeah, let's go. I'm back in, baby.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah,
the smallest
yeah.
buff you could possibly give, but it's cool.
It makes up for the HP. The HP change was what made me go, oh, come on. You already hit him everywhere else. But then they put Hex on Butcher. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll take that. That's
like-
fine with me.
I don't know. For me, conditions on a 10-die attack is like you want that attack to be killing people. I don't really give a shit if it does
Right.
conditions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope in the case it
taking off the
doesn't.
Pierce was the last one for me. Like I was like,
Yeah,
nope,
the
like,
no Pierce is like this character is gonna be really tough to play now.
every time I don't roll
Oh,
a Pierce
100%.
playing with Malekith, you're just like I
Feels
didn't
terrible,
get the Pierce, so then like now I'm gonna get like maybe a damage and maybe a throw, and it's just not enough for the output for that guy.
Yeah, I was. You can keep the throw. You can keep the throw as it was. The Pierce was the biggest thing, but I'm just like in my head, I'm kind of like like I guess they're just now with the skulls and everything. That's what you need to use for it and everything. Like it's like he's going to be bursting skulls off. I'm like, I guess. But I think the problem is that they kind of had to make all those changes because when they announced the new Red Skull, I was like, whoa, finally I'll run Red Skull with Malekith on the sidelines, not Malekith's leadership. I like that. And the more I looked, I'm like, this guy's insane with Malekith. And then it's like, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
With all the new stuff coming out, I think it might have been a bit much to be like, yo, you like crits? How about some more crits? And I'm like,
You like crits with your crits? Because like
Yeah,
Yeah.
what about like what's his name? Jean Grey under new Red Skull. Where
oh, Lord.
the skull is both a crit and a pierce. Is that how that works? Probably
right?
not.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Yeah, I heard people saying, like,
Crossbow,
oh,
too.
G doesn't look that good. I'm like, what are you fucking talking
No,
about?
he's
Like,
insane, dude.
no, people, some people have, like, are
Some people have no
underestimating.
respect for like old Doctor or for Sorcerer Supreme Strange. Like not everyone's played
Right.
against the Craigs and the utility cookies of the world who like make combo actually work.
I don't play against these like high level people, but I look at that card like he's great. He's got like one or two weaknesses, but he's insane. I can't wait to play him more. I can't stop playing new models and new things, so I can't stick
Yeah.
to one thing ever. I'm just like,
Yeah.
man, I don't know. There's some people I want to slap. I'm like, y'all realize Jean can do what she wants to do turn one, right? Except for her spender,
No,
everything's
Jean's
online turn
actually
one.
like we have
She's
a
really
local. It's
interesting
the
now.
same guy who plays who's like a big Scott Summers guy, and obviously he's a big Jean guy too. That character is wild for sure.
So I don't know who
Is
this
it mainly
person
the
is.
power change?
My buddy
for her?
Milton. It's
Yeah,
the power
yeah.
change and the sap on her builder, or like the pierce on her builder.
Yeah.
So she's just
The-
like
the null
slightly more
pierce.
consistent in every
Yep.
way, and then she also gets 3 power a turn. She gets like Hulk level
Right,
power.
Okay.
So question, like your friend, we're not recording yet, right, Sam?
We are not recording. We are live on Twitch.
Okay, I'm not going to
So-
say the joke I was going to make then.
No,
about
man,
we
go
are
for
just
it.
chatting.
Dude, there's no way he's gonna see it. It's fine.
Okay, I was gonna say he's a big Cyclops fan. Does he also hit his wife?
Oh my god. Okay, that's not Cyclops though. That'd be like a Hank Pym joke, man. Come
Oh,
on.
oh God damn it, you're right. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, get your comic lore. You gotta come correct when I'm in the call, dude. I'm a comic book guy.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. There was someone I was on another podcast.
No,
like, you know these
dude.
characters,
Cyclops
like,
is
no.
actually like he's the greatest. What's the called? He's like the best partner in the Marvel universe because every partner he has is like the most powerful psychic on the planet at the time. So he's got to be like the most genuine motherfucker ever. Otherwise, they'd know immediately.
I was gonna say you are right. The moment you said it was Hank, I was like, son of a bitch. How did I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
this mixed up? I think people just don't like Cyclops, and I'm just like,
I love Cyclops. He's
I
so
can't
cool.
remember.
He's had some bad calls, but like who hasn't, right?
Oh,
Like, it's
you mean to
just-
tell me
it's just
comic
bad
characters
writers.
have bad calls?
Yeah,
I
sometimes
don't
they get
believe
written by
that.
people who hate them. Yeah, comic character assassinations. What? That happens?
No, never.
All right. Got a couple of shooters out. I don't imagine we're going to have a very strong audience since we're
I don't know. People seem excited, but yeah.
running contra to the old Shatterpoint podcast.
How dare you? How dare you come
I feel
back
better.
to your home?
I feel better.
I have now seen Shatterpoint played once, I think.
It's a cool game. It's not. It doesn't speak to me the same way
Marvel.
that Marvel
No.
does. And I'm.
Get some hate. Oh, sorry.
It's hard. No, it's like Star Wars and Marvel occupy the same space in my brain, so it's really hard for me to like be like, what up, Yeah, the
You know-
video might be a little funky.
It does look
Like,
it's stuttering.
people ask me if I want to do Shatterpoint, and I'm like, well, there's two things here. One, if I started playing Shatterpoint, number one, who's going to lead Crisis Protocol in our store and everything like that? Because I'm the
Right,
one
'cause
who,
that's
like,
a big deal.
spearheads that.
Mhm.
Right. So I don't want this because we've had people who've been jumping to Shatterpoint and stuff. Number two, I know this might get me crucified. I'm prepared for that.
Uh-oh.
I don't really care that much about Star Wars anymore.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. Yikes.
What happened? Why? What changed?
You know what?
Saturation.
I
That's
think
fair.
I can. Yes, there's that. Two, I don't think. All right, how do I put this? The best way I can sum this up is if you see the opening for Red Letter Media's review of Rogue One, it is the most accurate thing of why I don't like Star Wars anymore.
Is that just like Rich being like Star Wars, something like that?
It's the one where they're like, it's like they're trying to do their sketch like, fuck it, let's talk about Star Wars. X-Wings, AT-STs. I clap because I know what Star Wars is. I know that thing. And I think the one thing where I just said I'm done, this is going to sound so weird. It was during Mandalorian, I think it technically was like Book of Boba Fett, I don't know. But the thing that pissed me off so much that I went, I think I'm done, this will sound petty, but it was when you had Mandalorian, you had this new thing, the Starcrest ship he has, which is a brand new thing for Star Wars introduced that is like, okay, this has now become iconic with this character. It's new. Then what do? Oh, we're going to give you a new ship. It's a Naboo starfighter! And I'm like, why? Why could we not do something new, something different? No, we have to go back to Naboo. We have to put these Naboo starfighters out there again. We have to make people go, I know what those are. And I'm just like, oh, come on. Give me new stuff. Please.
Yeah. All right. I think I might need to
That's just-
change.
By the way, I'm not saying Marvel's exempt from that either. I'm
No,
so
they're
like,
really bad at that too.
No.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of Marvel like MCU stuff right now. I just like really don't care anymore. But I love this game.
Yeah. No, this game for me is like the best Marvel property right now. The comics, with like very few exceptions, are in a really rough spot. Like it's never a good time when Spider-Man isn't readable, and Spider-Man hasn't been readable in like 10 years.
Yikes.
Yeah. They're trying to undo the damage of Donny Cates' Hulk right now after Immortal, and it's still just like pathetically mid. Yeah, I don't know.
Yikes. I did
Yeah.
hear like in my peripheral, I did hear about the whole thing with like Kamala Khan, how they like killed her off not even in her own comic book. I was like, oh my god.
They killed her
why?
off not in her own comic and then brought her back.
Oh, that was the thing. Everyone's like, oh my god, Kamala Khan is dead, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
she's already
oh,
back.
is she? Is she
No,
dead?
she was back within like a month, I think.
When did this
Anytime
happen?
someone's dead. Oh my god.
She died in Spider-Man, like I want to say 3 months ago, something like that. And
About
she
that,
is
yeah.
already back.
Okay.
And she's an X-Men now and has a new solo series.
Interesting.
And all of the X-Men, like she's one of the only mutants on Earth because X-Men are doing their periodic, reshuffling.
This is
I mean, we all
Sojourn.
knew Krakoa couldn't last, yeah.
Got it. Oh no, is it
Krakoa was
collapsed?
too cool. It was too cool of an idea. Oh yeah, like most mutants are dead right now, and Charles Xavier psychically forced most mutants to like leave the planet.
Got it.
So like I think Wolverine, Kamala, and like Nightcrawler are like the only three I know of that are on Earth.
Got it.
Oh, and Nightcrawler is now Spider-Man.
I saw something about that. I was like, what's going on here? I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm assuming it's
No,
comics,
I
so-
mean, yeah, he's Spider-Man now.
yeah, okay.
He also has like forgotten how to
Neighborhood
speak English,
Nightcrawler.
not like in a way that makes sense. Like he's just like, oh yes, I'm a foreigner, and I totally haven't lived here since the '60s.
Well, in that case, I say Guten Tag.
Exactly right. That character also looks fucking ridiculous in this game.
Oh,
Decided
right.
to hear the horror stories of people one-shotting Hulks and Malekiths with Nightcrawler because it's gonna happen.
Oh, awesome. I feel great about that. How much
No,
time did I
he's-
spend on you, Malekith? Fuck!
Yeah,
Just
Nightcrawler
Nightcrawler
can't
can't
remind
win.
myself.
Just can't win.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. He's done his
Anyway,
work. But I just hate
Sam,
things
did you want to get started?
Yeah, probably. I was just making sure that the video is doing okay
Sure.
because We had a whole lot of frame drops, but we haven't had any more. Like yeah. All right, so it's still jittery, but okay. Well, it's going to be a fun one.
I'll try to reel in my cursing since I know this is a Christian podcast. So
I've never done that.
Only when Ben's on.
oh well, shit. I was not told I needed to wear pants for this. I was told get wine, no
You
pants.
don't need to wear
we're
pants.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, who wears pants?
Why are you wearing pants in the first place? Are you
All right.
at home?
So then I'm going to start the recording, and we're gonna hang out with the media here.
Woo.
So here we go. Shh. Oh, wait. Nope. We're going to stop the recording.
God damn it!
Oh,
I
no,
was told this was a
everything is
professional podcast.
broken. Everything is broken. Don't do it.
Oh my god!
Hell yeah.
Here we go. I forgot one important step.
Don't worry, Sam. We're fully uploaded now. Apparently,
The what were?
it says you're successfully uploaded.
2-second
I'm like,
upload.
all right, there we go. That's
That was a hell of an episode, guys.
All right. Good job, everyone.
Good one,
Good
let's
job.
go.
Good job.
It's a damn
Pack it up,
Shadowpoint
boys.
podcast.
Man, my computer is just not used to this level of commitment.
Because you brought me in, and there's just too much fabulosity in there. It's like,
It must be
Jesus
what's
Christ,
happening.
that's glitter.
Almost
Oh,
there.
damn it,
Almost
lost
there.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, it's all coming through now. I just had to turn off the. I had to turn on the echo cancellation. All right, here we go. One more time. Here we go. Attempt number 2 to start the show.
And action.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Maximum effort.
For reals though, this time it's gonna happen.
Is it finally happening?
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Maximum effort. In this war, there's no surrender. He's out of line, but he's right. Who the hell is Bucky?
You don't like a fair fight.
I think you're wrong. Which part? All of it.
Think you're the only superhero in the world?
Touche.
Good evening, true believers. Thanks for tuning into another Rogue Agents episode. It wouldn't be a Rogue Agents episode with about 3.5 false starts and butchering the intro. So here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Rogue Agents, where we're going to take a look at hints, tips, tools, tricks, and strategy and tactics to build your community and grow as a tabletop hobbyist and hopefully a sportsman. So welcome to the Rogue Agents, where innovation is key, where the going gets rough, the tough go rogue. And boy, are we excited for a show tonight. I'm brought on a guest here. This is Chris, Fabu Caribou, as he goes by on the Discords, and our favorite son, Hypervivor's home from college. So,
Nice to hear, guys. Yeah, it's crazy. College.
so I guess first things first, off a little bit of difference. We're taking the show back to weekly, and so we're gonna. That means that we lose Dizzard every other week, though, because he's still going to do that Shatterpoint podcast with Omnis, and that's good for him. He's really enjoying that game, and I just want to talk some more about Marvel Crisis Protocol. And so that kind of takes us to where we are. We got any hot takes, cold drinks, or am I you guys? Am I drinking alone tonight?
Absolutely not. I'm drinking tonight as well. So
All right, excellent, beautiful,
Water.
the best.
Yeah, I have water. Sorry.
Hydrate. No way, got to stay alive, right? I hear it helps.
White
True.
Zinfandel, like a basic bitch.
Overly strong IPA. I have a brand. All right. So, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to talk about that was going to be, like blah, blah, blahs tonight. Does anybody else have something that they want to talk about before we start to chew the fat and get into the mix?
The new
I'm
elements are
convinced
cool.
that Dynamo's overpowered now.
Crimson Dynamo's overpowered now. So, like, how did he, what changed to bring him up so many levels in your eyes since, like,
Literally nothing. I just started playing against him more. And I like him.
I'm
that's
shocked.
like my friends just started playing. I'm like, this guy's so fucking annoying. Yeah.
yeah.
No, he just makes
he
it
is really
really harder
good.
to hit.
Yes.
He makes you do less damage. He's really mobile. He's very efficient once he gets going. He's like debatably the best character in the game on any sort of E.
Yeah, with the beam
yeah.
and the rerolls and
Yeah.
the shock
Yeah.
and the damage reduction. He's definitely a menace.
Yeah, no, he's
Yeah. I'm here for it.
total
Smash
package,
with
yeah.
him.
I was playing him in Defenders actually, like right beforehand, a couple of weeks before the. I think something big happened in Crisis Protocol, not that I'm aware of. But anyway,
We talked a little bit about it last week.
I don't know what we're talking
Oh,
about.
okay, we can chew into that then.
I was playing him with Doctor Strange, and I was just like, I mean, he's just always been equivalently a good 4, and I'm just like, okay, so how about some Mystic Beams? I'm like, good God, this is stupid. And I did not
Yeah.
realize, like, I thought some time ago it was like ruled how only one of the beam attacks was considered
No.
the new like Mystic, and then
Strange
I found
is
out
weird.
literally- yeah, and then I found out I was like, wait, so all the beams are Mystic? Sweet, let's fucking go. All right, hell yeah.
Yeah, they hex people.
Yep.
Yeah, yes.
And unlike
yes.
hex on a certain 10-die attack, hex on a 5-die is actually really good.
Wait, what are you talking about? Are you telling me they put Hex on a 10-die attack? I don't know what you're possibly talking about. Something that people
You know, it's
constantly
I
forget.
think there might be a 10-die attack in this game, but it's currently. I think I'm wrong. I'm thinking. Oh no, what I'm thinking of is the 12-die attack that turns your blocks into skulls, and it probably does something else too. It costs like a bunch of power. I don't know.
I've never heard of that.
Well,
At least they have the foresight to not let you do that one twice in a turn. Anyway, I'm
Oh,
being
God.
facetious. Yeah, Malekith got changed. She doesn't have Pierce anymore. Y'all know, like, if you watch this show for any period of time, that I was actually on it. I kind of don't think Malekith was ever, like, overly prevalent. He's definitely strong, don't get me wrong. I just don't think he was, like, ever game-shatteringly broken. And now he doesn't have Pierce. So if you're still complaining about Malekith, I think you're part of the problem.
If I may just take a moment here just to say that
Yowza.
if I hear one more place say, oh, here are the changes to Malekith, and they don't mention the Hex addition to Butcher of Thors, I'm going to scream. I'm going to actually scream. Because I'm like, with the HP change that happened to him, I was like, oh man, there's a lot of changes here. This is a lot. But then I was like, okay, the Hex added to Butcher of Thors, I can take that trade-off. I'll take it. Not happy, but I'll take
Why?
it. I don't
Why
know.
would you take that?
I'm taking the little victories I can. I spent way too long painting my Malekith, like months
That's
to
okay.
do it. I need to feel okay somewhere. Let me have this one thing.
I mean, it's a
We
good-looking
were,
model. It's a good-looking model.
He's really pretty. Yeah, I still have to build mine. We were like my play group, my dojo or whatever. We were chatting about it, and we also realized at the time that we were talking about it that Cosmic Ghost Runner is immune to hex.
Yeah, that's cool. That's real cool. Love it.
Yeah. They also have the same amount of health now. So yeah, unless you're playing Cabal, I think you just play CGR.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that,
They both
yeah,
have the
anyway,
same.
we don't have to talk about that now.
Yeah, I think they
Talk
count
about
about
that later.
things. Anyway, yeah. I don't want to get on this topic for too long.
I mean, with the changes to Malekith, would you bring him to a demo game?
Oh, I never bought
So I guess
I
he's not
wouldn't
that
play-
great, huh?
I wouldn't play anything higher than a 4 threat for a
That's
demo
fair.
game. Yeah.
Well, that's the main topic tonight, right? We're going to talk about how to give a good demo, how to build up your community. The general idea here is community building by any means necessary, which doesn't necessarily mean just, beating the snot out of people right when they show up. You got to find a way to get them in. So the general idea of what we're talking about tonight is how to turn it off, how to turn it down, and how to get people to come back and play some more with you. Because that's what we really need, is just more people biting at this apple. So that's why we brought on Chris to come and talk with us about some of the work that he's done. I believe you have built and rebuilt the Atlanta community like not once, not twice, but possibly 3 times at this point.
I think we're going on 4 almost, I think, because to be clear, I do teach it out of one store over in Atlanta and everything like that. But I mean, we have like a little tri-state area of like different stores and everything like that. But our community's always been very, very good and everything like that. I say that 4 because we had the first time when the game came out, which was great, and then something happened in the world. I don't know. Something. For
We
some
all had to
reason,
stay
people
home for
don't
like
go
a
to the
year,
store.
right? Like
Oh,
is
that what happened?
we were under
I'm
house
sorry, I
arrest
don't-
for quite some time
It
in a
got
lot of
dark
places.
for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. So that was one.
The streetlights
Then
came
it
on.
was, yeah, and bring it back again because we started going to the stores again, and then a second version of whatever that happened there happened. So we had to build that again.
Yeah.
And then I think it was kind of like a third time that kind of happened right around the holidays and everything. So where people weren't going to the stores as much and, everything like that. And then the other one was kind of another game came out that kind of drew the eye of certain people that were like, oh, this was a fun game. And I was like, what game is this? Did some new company? They're like, oh, I don't know. No one's ever heard this company before. I think AMG. I'm like, that's a weird
company you know and love. The company you know and love has created a game in a system,
Yeah.
in a world that you also know and love. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But
Imagine that going well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It is funny though because now, with the new core set coming out, there have been people who have been like, "Yo, I'm like kind of curious about." And the updates did a lot. Like suddenly, people were like messaging me like, "Oh man, I kind of want to start playing." I'm getting like, "Funny that." Like suddenly,
Yeah, no, the updates were a really good call.
Mm-hmm.
The
Well, I
updates,
know
the
one
second
person-
core, the second core is definitely like, I think created a lot of noise where people were just hopping in and saying like, "Hey, what is this?" And I think that
Yeah.
we've got a good opportunity there with the second core to get an MCP community, built back up wherever you are, or if not built back up, then built up for the very first time.
Yeah, you're buying like I think it's, depending on how crazy you get with it, it's like 8 to 11 like truly competitively insane characters like that will change things. That's
It's
great.
true. I'm so excited for it. And there are some people who are saying like I have to rebuy everything again, and I'm like, look, your old pieces aren't invalid. Times change, things update, and that's totally fine. This is a positive gain just on all accounts, and like it's already seeing the number of people who have been coming to me being like, "What's this new core box you're hearing about?" and being like, "Yes, this is a perfect time to get people into this game and to start building a community again. If you've had
Yeah.
some stagnation, it's perfect." There are people who are like, "I want to get in this game," and I've actually said, "All right, my advice." I would not buy this core set yet. There's one coming in a month or so. That's the time. And I know it's like you want to get people buying product as soon as possible, but I'm always a proponent of get people as much information as possible, get them the best bang for their buck, and they will stay with you more commonly. There's like a lot of financial stuff that I do to try and make sure people stay with the game.
Yeah.
And that's one of them where I'm like, I know I'm losing a sale now, but I'm hoping it's kind of like if you've ever seen an episode of King of the Hill where he shows his son how to sell propane and he gives the guy the pamphlet and he just walks down. He's like, Dad, you didn't sell him. He's like, I'll bring him back near the end of the month. And at the very end of the episode, the guy comes back and buys like an entire trailer park full of like grills and everything. And I'm like, that's
yeah.
my plan. I play the long game.
That's glorious.
Just to give a devil's advocate on that, we had a player come into my local store who had never played before but was like really excited to start. And me and Mike DeLuca were talking to him, and he wanted to play Web Warriors. He's a big fan of like Miles Morales and Spider-Man. So we were like, well, you can wait for the Web Warriors affiliation box, but there is a Miles and Gwen box right here if you just want to play right now. And he ended up getting it. Like he built a roster of 10 characters out of 10 character packs. He's one of the few players I know that doesn't have a core set, and that's because we were all like, just give it a second. Just wait till like mid-October. You're gonna get a not better but a really cool core set coming out.
Yeah,
With-
with
I
new
will
tools,
say
with the
also-
refresh tools too. I think the refresh tools are something that's going to be interesting. I want to see how the new tools kind of shake out. 'Cause
Wait, are they
there's-
different?
they have the flat edges on one side, so like it's the what concave.
Curved one, like
Yeah.
normal,
So
and then a
one of the
flat
grooves
one,
at the very end is
Mm-hmm.
filled in, and there was someone I was talking to where they were like, "Is this a problem? Or my old tools now useless?" I'm like, "No, because technically the corner of your old tools still
the
are
longest.
valid and works." Yeah.
Yeah.
So I at first I was like, "Oh, you might have to fill that in," then realized, wait a minute, no, you don't have to. It's still fine. You don't have to buy anything new. I will also say for what you were saying about the person who bought those people who I said wait on this core set, they ended up buying like the Thor and some Asgards and everything like that for him and his wife to play after we did our demo game because they enjoyed it so much. I'm like, yeah, you can pick up anything here. There's almost no bad characters here, and this is something I'll go
Yeah.
into later about one of the strengths MCP really has for community building, and I think really helps pull people in and keep them there.
That's another big point too. I think with the new core set is because when the first core set came out, there wasn't a ton of characters already.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a ton already out, and this new core set is a good jump off point, so that they can test it out. Then they can go back and pick up all the other cool stuff too.
And it shows everything.
That's just going to help keep people drawn in.
And you get like a bigger threat range, right? It's not just 2 through
Yeah,
4. Like now
absolutely.
there's a 5 threat in that box. Are there any 2 threats in the new core? I don't think so, right?
No, there aren't.
No.
Like,
Okay, so
the
that's
one
like kind of
downside.
fine.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's a downside, sure, but like That's kind of fun. I mean, 2 threats are boring.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, they're never
If they're too
important.
good, if they're too good, they're too good, right?
What are you talking about? I run Malekith, Immortal Hulk, Thanos, with all gems. That's all the games I run in my demo games. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to punch your face in and make sure you never come back here. We all had fun. Well, I had fun. I don't.
It's the Wong meta now, though.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, dude,
you're not
Wong,
wrong.
Wong is so good.
You're not wrong.
4-4-4 with a strange around. I love Wong now.
Yeah, I wasn't like too keen on it originally because I was kind of like, okay, 1 defense. I mean, it's kind of a more of a bookkeeping thing just to make it so it works with both strange. And the more I looked at it, the more I was like, oh, wait a minute.
He's really
like,
good, yeah.
Pentagrams are back on the menu, boys. Woo!
Right.
All right,
That's who I'm
so
trying out next.
this level of excitement that we obviously all have for this game, how do we translate this to that person who knows absolutely nothing about the game? Because nobody who doesn't know anything about the game was able to follow anything that we just said.
That's true.
Which
true.
is another problem that I have, because it's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. We just start rattling off, stats and figures and names and numbers, and the new person, the person who's interested in the game, that is, it's like one of 3 things. They either go, tell me more, right, which is exactly what you want to see, or it goes completely over their head, or
Their
you
eyes
get
glaze over,
the
yeah.
eyes glaze over and they're out. Right, like those are the 3 things that I've seen happen when those conversations start to happen that early in the process. So how do we capture the excitement and energy without going down that rabbit hole where we're all excited about this change or this minute detail, right? The difference between Malekith's old spender and his new spender. He lost Pierce on the builder. We've got extra defensive dice for Wong. Like how do you get the excitement of the game?
You don't have to explain that to new people because there is no old version to them.
Right.
Oh, that's
They got
true.
this is the current version.
Good.
So
Good
I guess
point.
that's one step less you got to worry about.
You can be now that person and be like, back in my day, I remember the days when Malekith had Pierce on a builder. Okay, Grandpa, let's get you to bed.
I've always enjoyed because this is what got me into the game because I'm like a character. This is my first tabletop mini game or like
Hell yeah.
competitive minis game at all. So
That's what I
for
like
me
to
it was
hear.
like the IP. So I always like asking like, oh, you're interested in this game? Who is your favorite character? I can tell you like how they play. That's
Yeah.
always fun for me.
Yeah.
That's easy, yeah. Because obviously they like Marvel, or otherwise they wouldn't be
Yeah,
able to go out and
exactly.
get
Yeah.
Marvel like me. So that having that common ground and being able to, expand on that. That's the easiest way I've found. Like, what's your favorite team or your favorite mutant or superhero, or whatever?
That is something that
Yeah.
works like really well to this game, though. Is that like again, there's almost no bad pieces I'd argue in this game, and you can make
Yeah.
the argument like, well, this character sucks. I mean, after there was updates, it's harder to say that now, but I really feel like there's always the potential for someone to do something crazy. Even people who don't play stuff that's like very like meta, like it's the biggest best things. You have underdog factors in those things. Every character can do work, and I always try to stress that with new people. I'm like, they're like, well, is this character good? Is this character bad? And it's always like, there's not really anyone who's like bad. They can do work. You can make it work. This is something I always try to tell people as well, is that people complain about MCP dice, like who've been playing this game for a while. They're like, they're very explosive. They're very like
Yeah.
like you can't count on them. And I'm like, but that's what makes this game work so well for average Joe who's never bought this game before, played a tabletop before, someone who's a big fan of comics, and even for people who are casual players. It's like the biggest thing for casual players. I've taught War Machine and stuff like that back in our area as well for a number of years. I think over 6 years or something like that. And that game was very good. The problem is that after I started playing Crisis Protocol, I stopped playing that game altogether because I realized just from playing Crisis Protocol for a little while, that game was very highly competitive in the way it worked, and it kind of was like it fed into that. And when you have a game that only seems to perpetuate towards competitive play and trying to maximize it, because you get someone in that game and it's like, well, we don't really do like small, everyone wants to push you towards the large point games, and getting someone to invest that early, that much money is really, really hard. Crisis Protocol has, and I always tell this to new people, it has the best starter box that I have ever seen for any tabletop I've been a part of. I have played 40K, I've played War Machine, I played Kill, what was the one for 40K?
Kill Team?
Kill Team. Yes, I played that as well. And it's honestly, it's just the best. Now, with the new core set, it kind of shifts a little bit about like it just being one core box you can point to. But I mean, now you just have a new core box, and it's still the best value I've seen. it's still, no matter what, you're getting like over $200 worth of product in this thing. And well, the old one was like only 100. This one's I think like what, one.
Only 100.
Well, compared to what you're getting, if you compare the price,
Minigaming is such a privileged hobby.
I know, right?
I'm just saying. I mean, look, I don't even want to. Don't get me started on Magic the Gathering and that shit. I have started playing Cortana,
God.
and I was telling someone about like, man, decks are so expensive. I listened to someone say a tier 1 deck is $500. He's like, well, from Magic the Gathering, that doesn't sound like a lot to me. I'm like, I never ever want to hear that my tabletop mini is too expensive. I will slap you if you play Magic or a trading card game. Is too expensive.
I played a little bit of Magic in college, and the number of guys I knew who were just like working regular ass jobs that had like $3,000 decks. I'm like, there's something wrong here, man.
Priorities, man.
I mean,
Like, what's going on?
now that being said, we have to understand that some people find joy and happiness in different things. You can't really
Like,
judge
no,
them for
if
that.
that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do, right? Like,
Yeah,
no
it's
hate.
just- for me, like,
It just
you know.
terrifies me, you know?
Yeah, but like back onto the core thing, it's like again that comparatively, like if you're getting someone into this game, like just showing someone like, hey, you're getting 11 characters. It's 11? If you include the grunts, it's like what, 12?
Yeah,
I think
it's
is the new
11.
one.
11
you
characters,
saw-
12 models. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's what it was, 12 models. But you show them how much a normal box of 2 characters, like normal
Yeah.
characters, as you get into this game. Never try to push that. Be like, hey, if you get into this game, 2 characters in a box is going to cost you about $40 at minimum. It depends. Certain ones might be a little bit less expensive with depending on what you get, but look at how many you're getting in here for this value, and you're getting terrain, and you're getting your dice, and you're getting your measurement templates. And when you add that up, it doesn't take much to make them realize, wow, this is a really good like bang for your buck right here. That pulls a
Yeah,
lot of
like-
people in.
Like, the new characters are all, like, the core box wasn't bad. I would never say core box is bad, but they were still, like, they didn't have a lot to draw on at that point, right? Now they have so much shit to draw on. Every character in the new core is, like, ridiculous compared to the old. Not in, like, a bad way, just that, like, oh, you want a grunt character? We got one. You want, like,
Yeah.
a
Like the whole
5-threat
game.
monster? You got one.
The whole game is
Yeah,
in
they
that
introduced
box.
all the mechanics.
It
Yeah,
is
it
every
really is.
mechanic, and that
And
helps as well.
I love that it's
that's-
build trees. Like you're getting multiple leaders in that box instead of just like a good guy leader, a bad guy leader. Okay, figure it out from here, because that's all we have. You know, like now there's so many other pieces in the game. You're getting second and third leaders for affiliations from the second core. So you can just like, I think the number one thing I would look at right now for getting someone into the game in the next 2 months would be like, hold up, wait for second core, find 2 to 3 people to split that with.
Yeah.
Because like this one, even more so than the first core, this is like, you want some Spider Foes dudes, you want some Cabal dudes, I want some Avengers dudes, I want some Criminal Syndicate dudes. Like, okay, we've got 3-4 people that can all buy this, and now you've got kind of a whole play group in that box with a few
Yeah,
extra
you're
blisters.
spending, like, maybe $60 a person. Everyone gets their own little team. Yeah, sounds great.
I'd almost argue.
Especially, like, adding in boxes and, like, other tools and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd almost argue to tell them like, yeah, you can do that, split with someone, and just tell them like, hey, so split this right now. But I'm going to tell you, here's what you do: you make a pack right here, make a
Yep.
blood pack, cut those hands, slap them together. When you all get into the game more, and you like, okay, I like this. Buy another core set and then split out the difference that you all didn't have, because you're going to later on go back and say, man, I wished I had these other things from the core set, because then you're spending more. But I'm just tell them like, hey, you can split this now, but later you're going to want another one, and then split the difference there. For me personally, that's what I would like to push out.
That's fair. I think that also kind of depends on like what you're trying to get out of the box, right? So if you're trying to get like a play group out of the box, like that's one thing. If you're trying to set up so you just got, my team, your team, terrain, tools, and dice, and we're just playing it more like a board game at home, like that's another way that people can get hooked. And that's like that's the real slow burn, in my opinion, is you get people that like take home the core set and figure it out. They get hooked a little bit. They want to beat their table mate, like whoever that is in their life. They're like, no, I'm going to need something new. I need a MODOK now. I need a this. I need a that. I need a Hulk.
That's a good thing though, is that you can literally, I think this is another thing I use for like a lot of that, is just telling like people like, you have everything in here for 2 players. Like, you don't need to get anything more. If you find you like it, again, the whole Hank Hill method of, if you think you like it, come back and we'll be happy to tell you more about it later. I mean, of course, assuming you haven't already done a demo game, but that's a different topic for, I've taken some notes for things that we do for it, so.
All right. So, I mean, here we go. We got second core. We got lots of, different like sales points for people. But how do we get them into the demo? How do you get them to the table to play this game? They walk up to the table. They see you playing the game, and they're like, wow. So, Chris, when we talked about this, like, I don't know, almost 2 years ago now, I was like, I don't know what to do at that point. Like, the guy comes over to the table, and you were like, you drop everything, and you talk to that guy. And I was like, holy smokes, how do I do that? I'm in the middle of this game right now. How do I drop everything and talk to this other guy?
Well, so I think like kind of what's going on there is that there's a couple of things when you want to get new people into the game. There's a couple of points I try to tell to people. Like, if you want to be kind of that spearhead of your community, this is something I learned a long time ago from another podcast from a different game. But they had talked about this, and this is something I've always held to heart for me, is that you have your night that you're doing MCP, that you're doing that night. You have to make sure that you are there as much as you can be every single week on that day.
Consistency.
Because, yeah, you have to bring that consistency. If you don't, you won't have people coming there regularly. Like, there have been weeks where I have an emergency come up, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I always make an announcement in our Discord, like, I won't be there this week because of this. But my wife like also understands that like this is a part of something I have to do every single week because I want to make sure we build our community from there, and I need to be that person who is the figurehead to make sure that, hey, even if no one else is there that night, Chris will be there every single Wednesday night for us over at our store. So if someone's curious, they can go to the person at the front and be like, well, I think this game is cool. They can say on Wednesday night, this is when they play. There is always someone here, and I always try to stick that, like, I am here that night. I always try to make sure they have the Discord thing to make sure, like, hey, if there's something that comes up, I will be here. I will make myself available. I will drop what I'm doing. And I know it's like my free night, but I'm also like, I'm trying to build a community. I want people to have fun with it. So I have to bring that consistency there. If you have someone... Like, this happens constantly. We have someone that just walks over near the Crisis Protocol selection, and I'm playing. I always tell my opponent, like, I'll be right back, and I run over, and I just say, hey, if you're looking at this, and this looks something interesting to you, we're playing it over here, and if you just kind of, like, want to take a look-see-loo and see what we're doing, and just kind of see what this game's about, like, feel free to, and if you have questions, all right, just wanted to let you know, and then I jump back to the game. I mean, trying to just get that little hook in there. It's just, you just need to get some eyes on it, because then when they start looking, then... a thing I try to do is, like, I don't just continue playing the game as normal. I kind of, and my opponent, I will always tell them, like, hey, are you okay with me doing kind of like my sales pitch here for them if they come over? And because I know this will slow our game down, but it might bring more people in. I think the biggest thing I think that's always pulled people in is when they start looking. I always try to find a way, if I can, even if I'm going to lose the game from doing this, I try to find a way to destroy a piece of terrain as soon as possible. Because
yes.
No,
I'm gonna throw this
dude, it's so cool.
This is such a thing. This is one of the mechanics. The number of times I have told this mechanic to people, and their eyes light up.
Yeah.
This is the biggest thing. The terrain destroying and using as a weapon is the biggest #1 thing. And when I do that sales pitch of, hey, all this terrain you see, it's not just for decoration. It's not just for cover. It's a freaking weapon and mechanic of the game. Yes,
yeah,
exactly. And this is something else I always mention whenever I do my core demo games, where I'm someone, you probably can tell, who gets very hyper and very energetic about things, because I love getting people excited about this game. Whenever they throw a piece of terrain, anytime someone's like, okay, I'll spend this power to... I'm like, all right, so how's he doing it? Pick up that terrain. We have toys on the board here, guys. Let's see those toys being thrown. I want you to... And the last demo game I did with that guy and his wife who came in and play, I was like, I want to see how Thor's throwing this, or I forget who she was playing. It was I forget what character, but I was like, I want to see it. Show me how that car is being held over their head. Show me how it's being swung at them. Show me. I want you to explain what's happening to me. You got to make this feel like an action adventure happening right now, a comic or a movie. I like to explain what's going on, and that's something as well for the core box, or not the core box, just demo games. Explaining everything and having your person who you're showing that demo, like when those big bursts happen, when those explosive moments happen, when something crazy happens, I always like to be like, what happened? What happened here? Why did Captain America just down this person? How did that shield get thrown? I'm like, that shield not only ricocheted, it knocked off there and hit him from behind and just knocked him into the floor. That painting those pictures for people helps so much in them being like, okay, I get this. There's a lot of times people have explained this game to people, and they're like, I roll these dice, it equals 4 damage, and stuff like that. I'm like, that's boring. You need to bring some energy into this, because you need to make them understand what's happening in the sense of, like, conveying in your mind. I want them to see a movie or comic playing out here, not just chess, you know? It's something I think is so important to pull people in and to keep them there.
It's chess with exploding crits, to be fair, but...
Okay, fair. and people who have to climb up buildings but don't have to get down.
Yeah. Superhero landings.
just
I've always,
drive
that,
off,
that one.
yeah.
That one's easy. That's just superhero landings.
Oh yeah, I tell this to everyone. They're like, "So why does this work?" I'm like, "Superhero landings, baby."
Doesn't hurt. You just fall.
Don't have to
Another
worry
big
about
one
climbing if you
on
throw in
the
the
note of
building.
like thematicness, like the visualizations are cool. I'm gonna give this one. Sure Thing was the one who like got me into doing this, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
Instead of saying like, because as a competitive player, you can get into these patterns where you're just like saying, "Oh, I attack, I do this." Say what it says on the card. Like instead of saying, "Oh, I strike you," be like, "No, no, no, no. I'm hitting you with Stormbreaker." So instead of saying like, "Oh, I reduce damage by 1," no, 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 no. My Corbinite cybernetics make your attack do nothing. Instead of saying, "Oh, I'm gonna walk over and throw you," no, 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 no. Beta Ray Bill is gonna march up to you, spit in your face, and use his immeasurable strength to send you to another fucking planet. You know?
That's also like really true and just so accurate to everything. I love it. Like just describing everything in just so much picture clear detail for them. It just
Exactly.
helps a lot. It really pulls people in. Setting the telling the story of what's going on. And I always try to set that up too. Is I'm like, here's what's going on. And I try to like say it's like, all right, we got the Cabal here. We got this scenario because I read the scenario often. Just of course you try to make it. It's not just like we're playing on A, B, pickup, etc. Again,
Right.
why
They
are
gave
we
you the
here?
tools. They gave
Yeah,
you the
exactly.
tools to take this to the next level. Like that's definitely a really good point. Just
Yeah, the narrative devices are right there. It's a fantastic part of this game.
they are
I mean,
on a
that's the
silver
thing,
platter.
AMG has constantly explained about how this is supposed to be like a narrative, fun, casual kind of game and stuff like that. So let's do that. I mean, the thing is, like, is it okay if I talk about this other thing for the demos, as Sam?
Yeah,
It's,
fire away, man.
yeah. There's something I always tell for people when they run demos. I think this is something that really helps a lot. There are people who ask me, like, outside of even just like MCP, they're like, how do I get this person to do this game? I think when you're trying to pull people into your community, a good way to sales pitch for them is kind of finding out what their background is. You can't just be like, oh, let's play it. I'm always typically like, so what do you play? And they're like, have you played Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons? Is this your first tabletop? Have you played like what games do you play?
Yeah.
And trying to compare it if you can to that game system at all. Like when people say I played Magic but never tabletops, I'm like, okay, well this is like Magic except your entire deck is on the board here. If they've never played a tabletop, your whole deck you build and construct, which you love deck building, I'm sure. Your whole deck is going to be open for you here on the board, but as the game progresses, your resources will go away, and you need to figure out how to recover with those resources.
Yeah.
People who've like played, I'd say Dungeons and Dragons. I'm like, cool. All your stats are here for your character. You've got your D&D sheet right here for your
Yeah,
character.
you have a whole party of characters to mess with.
Exactly. So you can connect it in that way. People who said like I've only played like board games at home. Like, well, this is a visual board game pretty much right here with more cool stuff. It's not just completely flat. It's a whole thing here, and these are your pieces to play with. I mean, I literally do demo games, and I'm always like, we're going to just play with 11th Threat. I always say, all right, I want you to pick one character you like from this core set. This is using the old core set, but I say one character here that you like. Cool. I'm going to pick one character for you because I want to give them something that meshes well with it because they're probably not going to pick Cap. They're going to pick Spider-Man. They're going to pick Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
That typically whenever I've done it. So I'm like, okay, let's put Cap here because we're going to lead into that in a little bit. And then we let them go. They get something they like. They get something that's going to tell them how to play the game, and then I let them pick something else. And then we build according to that. But when you're playing that game, this is the thing I tell people all the time. I think is such a big thing that people should do with their demo games. If you're a competitive player and you play a lot, you need to set your demo game up like a puzzle in the sense of how do you should, by the way, I always am the proponent of you should lose your demo game. You're going to pull more people into winning versus losing.
Give them that sweet, sweet taste of victory.
Give them the taste. Give them a little taste. A taste of victory. It makes them feel good. Everyone feels great when they win this game. When they're like, oh my God, I won. I'm like, you did. I'm like, yay. Here's the thing, though. You got to set your demo up, but you have to make it so you're also setting up for every possible way to show every mechanic along in the game. You always want to make sure you have one character that has throw for them and for you, because you want that to come up every single time. I also will go and be like, I'm going to move this character here, and I'm trying to put the puzzle to show them, like, hey, if you come over here, you see how I'm going to go up in points here, but if you come over here, it's going to get you some more points and stuff and interact with these things. So terrain throwing, throwing characters, always try to get that to come up. You try to set up that puzzle so every mechanic can be shown fluidly without forcing it. And I think that helps a lot of people because they're so invested. It starts to slowly like take and click with them. So that's your puzzle. You're trying to set up your puzzle of how do I lose this game and also show every mechanic along the way. And it helps.
It's also fun, like, it's not as a pet character. Like, maybe even picking a scenario where that character excels, and maybe, I know this is like poison to hear for us competitive gamer boys, but letting that character not die, you know?
Oh no.
Like, not just killing their favorite. Like, if they're playing
ASM, maybe you don't bring Bullseye and like Dr. Voodoo and shit.
You know what's funny? What's really funny is that you know what my favorite core demo game to do was with the old core set? Like, cool, play whoever you want to play here. Cool. Okay, cool. So this here is Sentinel Prime, and I'll set that boy down because big models.
It feels intimidating, yeah. And then he's just like Sentinel Prime.
And they just melt. Yeah. No, I think Sentinels versus X-Men is going to be a great demo setup.
The only problem is that you have to buy Sentinels.
I got them. I just got to paint them. So, yeah.
Look, Nimrod's coming. We know it. All right, I'm telling you right now.
Sooner or later.
Eventually. But I mean, the Sentinels are like such a good. Not only are they like not like oppressive, really, they're very cool looking from a table perspective. And here's the big thing: they're big models, which draws eyes to your table when people walk by.
That's true. So, yeah, they look crazy.
Yeah, so like you're like playing a demo. I've had people where I throw the Sentinels down. They're like, "Oh, what's going on over here?" I'm like, "Well, I'm doing a demo game. If you'd like to sit down and learn what we're doing." Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Try to give them a little bit of a show and give a little put something nice on to pull other people in. So
that was another big thing. Speaking of drawing attention, was making sure you have a painted up set. I always have a handful.
I also want to say hey because you're talking to someone who spends way too much time painting a single model. I'm like, I'll do it eventually. How many months has this taken? Don't ask.
It works. It works. As long as you got like 4 of the main ones painted.
Yeah.
That way somebody walks by and they're like, dude, is that Hulk? Is that Spider-Man? Whatever. That's definitely a game changer. From what I've seen in my store.
Yeah. Painted models, painted terrain are huge. So I've got a weird curveball for you because we were in the store the other night and we were having some fun with some new cards. We had a guy come over and he just like watched the game for a bit. I wasn't doing anything, so I just, we were chatting up a little bit. And my buddy Jared was like, hey, like, you should get in on this, man. Like, we got stuff, like, you can come and play. He's like, oh, no, I'm not a good enough painter. And so that one kind of blew me away because I've never heard that about, like, Crisis Protocol. Because Crisis Protocol tends to be, well, not a good enough painter, right? But, like, your models are just gray.
No, they're not anymore. They're just badly painted now.
So I think when I bring my Sentinels, it's going to be, like, one thick coat.
If I may, this is actually something that I've heard a number of times, and I'm always like, painting is not hard. It's just that you have to kind of know where to start and kind of like just understand it doesn't have to look amazing. And this is one of those things where people tell me I'm not good at painting. I'm always like, look, I literally have a YouTube video. I can send you this right now. It will tell you everything. And I've spent months, like probably years, about looking at YouTube videos. There's one that I always send to people that goes over every single thing for the process. And if they're like, and if you want to learn how to paint more, I will literally help you and tell you what you can do to get the best bang for your buck. It's not hard. You just have to have fun with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need to be an amazing painter. It's a learning process for people. Again, painting is one of those things I've got kind of crazy about. So
that one really took me back. I was really surprised when, I've never heard that as an excuse to not come and play the game. Because we have gray models on a lot of tables half the time, or like they're just like primered, and it's like, what? No, you come on.
Speaking of someone who's not like a mini or like has not been a minis guy until now, it's intimidating because you see these models that are just like what feels like so wildly out of your ability, and it's really scary to like for the first time to put down your model that you painted with your acrylic paint that you've had since like sitting in a box in your garage since like high school, right? But then once you do that, it's fine. And I actually have to thank the LVO staff for making their event only painted because I never would have started painting if it wasn't for that. Maybe not never, but like I definitely wouldn't do it as much as I currently do, and it is fun.
I always tell people when they're like, I don't think I'll be good at that, I'm always like, no one starts amazing at anything. There's a line from Adventure Time I always tell people, which is like from Jake, where he says, sucking at something is the first step to being kind of good at something. Like, you're never going to, it's so true though. Like I saw that, I'm like, this is so accurate when it comes to painting. Like I'm trying to learn violin. You think I started up just like, learning my vibrato and everything like that, like perfectly? No, you have to start off and sound bad. Everyone starts bad. But that's the whole point, is that you get better. I have, in my case, with all my models, like the second model I ever painted in high school, good God, I look at that thing and I'm like, God, I had no idea how gold worked. It is chunky on there. It's got gloss on everything. I tried to freak in with the gold. It was a Necron from 40K. But now I look at the model I have years later, and you can see your progression. It's like you learn as you go, and it's one of those things where people are like always intimidated by painting. I'm like, you need to have fun with it. Don't be like me. Don't be like me, a perfectionist. Just put paint on it. Have fun with it, and then you'll get better. If you want to get better, you'll get better. If you just want to have some painted models, that's fine too.
You'll have some bad models, yeah.
Right, exactly. And I always tell people, having some paint on your model is better than having no paint on your model. So if anyone's like, oh, I don't paint my models, like, look, you're doing more than the person who has an entire gray army. Like, you're doing more.
Right.
So, they can't give you shit. You may have lost, like, yeah, well, at least I have primer on my models. Oh.
Contrast paint and like a Zenithal
Contrast
Prime,
is a huge
and
step.
like
Yeah.
everything looks great from 3 feet away. It literally doesn't matter anymore.
It does.
It's true. I tell people contrast paints have been such a great thing. Like, I know some people were like, oh, this doesn't do much for paints or whatever like that. I'm like, this is immense for the starter painter. This is such a good thing for that person who's afraid to pick up a brush and doesn't know where to start. This is great for new people. It's going to remove less gray on the table, and that's great for building communities and getting more people to your game night. Don't worry about, oh, I have to pay more for this. For the person starting, this is amazing. And that's the best thing of that whole contrast line. And now there's so much more variety now. So
Right,
it's great.
you're not tied to it. Like you can paint with all contrast paint and never actually buy an actual contrast paint.
Mm-hmm.
You just buy a speed paint or a transparent. Like they're there. You got options.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree about painting. I was really surprised when that came up at the store the other night. But it sounds like it's not really much of a problem, right?
No. I hear that one a lot, honestly. There's just so many people like, I don't know where to start with painting. And I'm like, it's not hard. I promise you it's not hard.
With
You
primer.
think it's hard. Oh, yeah. Well, again, and when people, this is the other one I hear all the
proper
time.
surface.
This is the other one I hear all the time is I don't have steady enough hands for it. Again, contrast paint, speed paints, it does not matter. You don't need to be perfectly accurate. That's fine. If you're trying to do competition level, there's still tools to help you with that. But for just getting painted models on the table, contrast, speed paints, they all exist. It's perfect for a new person. And that's like where I push people who are like, I'm new. This is what you want to start with. Learn from there and progress.
That's so okay. So again, and this is us. This is our approach, right? So like you just shotgun it out, and we come back to what seems important, right? So one other thing here is that like we've just skipped another step, right? Because we just skipped all the way from how do you give a demo to trying to convince someone to be a hobby painter. So we get them to the table. You get them to come and play the game. They don't have any models, right? So how many models do you bring into the store? Are you set up to basically have like a demo list that's with you? That's like an easy one. Do you have like opposing lists that you've got, kind of sitting in your box, and then you've got like your other list that you would play against, a more established player in your community? Or like, how do you approach like what you bring to game night and what you're putting on the table? How do you so a scheduled demo, that's easy, right? I know you're coming. We're going to come in. But we're talking about the guy that just shows up on Wednesday because he heard this is where people play Crisis Protocol on X night of the week. Mm-hmm. How are you prepared for that? How do you handle that? Do you have to get him to come back? Are you bringing an extra list? Are you bringing 2 extra lists? What's your plan?
I bring 2 rosters every time I go to the store.
Yes, sir.
Me personally, I do 2 rosters. One's a good guy, one's a bad guy. That's just
Okay.
how I like to play, but it also works for both instances.
Mm-hmm.
For myself and getting a new player into it. I try to do, like I said, as much painted as possible, so they got that visual thing too going on. But yeah, and also with the consistency piece, like you said, if try to drive home like, dude, don't worry about it, just come show up. You can use our stuff, it's not a big deal. And then, as we said before, as long as you have a specific night or something that can consistently be set up, then I think that's a huge step forward, in my opinion.
I think it's also good that if your store is able to, like if they're supporting the game, if they're able to have a demo copy of the game aside, that helps a lot. I know our store does. I'm going to try and talk them into giving another one for the second core set, and we'll figure out what to do with the first one. But if there's someone who's like, I'm coming for a demo game, like they're curious about it, I'll typically, like I said, I'll bring Sentinel Prime. Sometimes I'll put someone else with him. I mean, I've brought in a thing I like to do is I like to bring a character like Sentinel Prime and someone else who I never ever get to put on the table that I have in my collection, because I'm like, well, Sinister's not bad. I try not to bring Mystic stuff normally, like in the first starter one, because in the first core set, Mystic is like
Mystic
not
was overpowered,
existent.
yeah.
Right. So, like, I brought Agent Venom, and my one friend was like, isn't that a little bit much? I'm like, well, no, I don't plan to use the Incinerary Grenade to do Incinerate. My whole plan is this is mostly here to show them, hey, some characters are weak against energy, so you want to fix your attacks up here. So here's a character who seems strong, but look at that energy attack. So you see his weakness here. That shows you that characters are weak to certain things. This is Fire versus Water Pokemon, weaknesses edition. And I also hadn't gotten to play with Agent Venom in a while, so I get a little fun out of it too, because I wasn't playing Agent Venom at the time. Like, all right, so I could do some swinging, some pew pew pew, and they get to fight against a cool model. Like, wow, that's a really cool model. It's like, yeah, this is now the models that the game's putting out, and that helps a lot. So, again, if you can have a set aside for your store, if they're doing that, then that's great. You always have it on access. But again, like you said, bringing a couple extra models. I always bring one or two that are just in case someone shows up. Like, I'll bring, like I said, Sentinel Prime in there just to be like, hey, here's Prime. Look at this cool big model, which always is great. Big models always pull people into a game. You can't deny it.
Certainly a lot of them in this one.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a good spread of those.
Which I'm glad for. I'm just not going to bring, like I said, I never was bringing Malekith or anything like that to a game night. Hey, how about I kick your teeth in for a while? This will be fun for all of us. Well, mostly fun for me.
You
Not
got
fun for
Hex
you.
now, man. You might as well bring him.
I mean,
So-
yeah.
The two things that stand out to me as like the I don't know, pitfalls, we'll say, to this kind of approach is that, like, I show up, I'm a new player, and I know Joey's going to be there on Wednesday, but what if I don't like Midnight Suns and Defenders, right? Like what if I don't like the same things that Joey likes? What if, like, I show up and so that one, to like the preferences element, and the other one that stands out to me is, what do we do about the complexity level, right? Because the models that are in my box might not be a good enough spread, right, to kind of like show off every game mechanic that's in the game, or even just give a good, nice taste of some pretty vanilla characters.
At least,
what do we do
for
then?
me, for me, I typically, again, this is something I always tell people, even when you're just playing casually. I think the turn zero discussion about, like, hey, like, again, that whole thing about what do you play, and if they play like another game, like 40K or something like that, or Magic, I'm always like, my question is, what's your favorite play style? Like, what do you like to play in games? Do you like control? Do you like rushing? Like, what are they looking for? And I try to kind of like push towards that area if I can, typically, just to be like, okay, though, if you're looking for control, you might like these characters, and it's like, here's the characters I like. And I always like, I think it was Joey, or was it Hyper, who mentioned about how you always tell them like kind of like what their play style is and what they do. I think that's big as well, just to be like, this is the kind of the game they play. Like, people will play Web Warriors, because, I mean, everyone likes Spider-Man, and I always tell them, like, hey, Web Warriors are kind of like playing the objective, so, like, that's great, but if you want to start punching people in the face, you might want to get Web Warriors and, like, maybe, I don't know, Hulk or something like that, so you have someone to punch hard or something like that, like, later on as they progress. But the turn zero discussion, I think, is the biggest thing for demos that has to always happen, is what are you looking for? What are you trying to get in this game? Are you trying to become a competitive player? I always ask that, too. It's like, what do you want? Are you playing casually? Do you want to become competitive? Like, what are you looking for? And trying to make sure you tailor it to that player every time as best you can.
I agree with all of that. I think that the number one, the turn zero discussion is just important in these games, period. Whether it's your first game, third game, 50th game, whatever you're there for on that given night. I mean, like, I've shown up to game night with rosters and played into someone playing miserable stuff. I was like one shade below that level of misery that night, right? So, like, I didn't bring this hard, and then I got hit with that. It was like, dang, like, I really just wasn't prepared for this tonight. Like, I was prepared to, like, like, I wasn't here to seal club, but I also wasn't here with, like, my top end.
Yeah, I like
tier,
bringing a competitive roster along with my my fun roster, right? That's how I kind of divvy it up. And then if I'm playing with a new player, I'll just split both things up.
See, the good thing for me is whenever I
Team
come
Green.
to list building, it's like I know how to build tactic cards. Here's the thing, though. I suck at a crisis selection, so always easy to never build. So it's like, well, people ask me, like, oh, what would you build for this? And I'm like, I think this is a good list. What about these tactic cards? Oh, these seem okay. And what scenarios should I be bringing? And I'm just like sinking
I have
away.
no
like,
idea.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm
Random
doing, and I'm
button.
scared to find out. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm really good at it.
Crisis selection is hard. That might be one of the hardest parts of this game in the long run, is figuring out like
Yeah.
what your team
What
wants
you're
to
actually good at.
what
Yeah.
wants to play on.
You know what's something actually kind of funny? Just on that note, while you're mentioning that, whenever I talk with new people, I always tell them, like, if you're worried about building competitively and everything like that, I always like to say there's like 3 to 4 lists, like 4 levels of competitiveness. Like when you start the game, you're just playing casually, and like what are you looking for? Because what'll happen is as you play, you're going to start building your characters. You're going to be like, okay, I like these characters. Let me start to build a little bit in there. Then you'll start looking at your tactic cards, and then you're like, okay, now I want to build this that offsets with that list. And I think once the moment you're getting into your crisis selection is when you're getting more competitive. So it's like, what are you looking for? Casual, competitive.
There's an
that kind of
understanding, like you have to have kind of an understanding of the game and understanding of what you like in the game in order and understand like what you're bringing to the table for that. So there's 2 comments in chat that I want to bring up. So one of them's from CEO Clark Kent. It says, "I always think you find the competitive players more. You ask up front, right?" So, and yoga enthused, I believe, disagrees with tailoring to the player. Teach it to casuals, and competitive players will head that way themselves. So I think that part of what all this is, right, is that a competitive player is going to get themselves there, right? And we can help by letting them know that we're there. Like, hey, but we also have to, especially as more competitive players for this game, even if you're not competitive, even if you're just experienced, this game has a learning curve to it. And if you can just bring experience to the table and a perfectly thematic list, and you can still just elbow drop Seal Club somebody. Like, hey, like I used to do it with X-Men when they were bad. Like that was like a thing that I did for like 6 weeks, and I was like, man, like this is not working. Like I don't know how to give good demos. I don't know how to like
What am I
turn
doing
it down
wrong?
a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
So was this before Rogue, Gambit, and Domino
Yes.
came out? Or,
Oh
okay,
yeah,
I
this
just
was
wanted to
this
make sure.
was
That
this was in the height of like X-Men are terrible, and I was just like, well, if X-Men are terrible, then I'm going to play X-Men. And
Yeah, because I was like, but that is the before Rogue X-23 Honey Badger time, is I think when it was considered the non-good X-Men times.
yeah. So I mean, just bringing something that isn't great to the game isn't enough, in my opinion. If you're an experienced player,
You still
if
need to turn it down for sure.
you have a grasp of the game, you've got to find something else to help with that, right? So it's really, if I can find someone that I know wants to be a competitive player, like I feel like that's a much easier demo for me to give. In
Oh
general.
yeah, 100%. Like that's why again the turn zero discussion about like, and also most of the times when people are like, I want to be competitive, more than likely I'm gonna be like, okay, what games have you played? Well, I've played 40K, I played War Machine, I played Guild Ball. Like they have tabletop experiences,
Right.
and a lot of the times I don't need to hold bars back in the sense I can just be like, all right, we're gonna play the demo. Here's the scenario. This is how it plays. I'll still do that like energeticness to it. But like even there are games where we've played it where I actually have customized scenarios where I don't put as many scenarios on the board because I know their attention span is like I can tell just by talking to someone how invested they are in this demo versus not. I always remember one time one of our players was showing someone a demo and I was like, all right, go ahead. Like I was like, all right, yeah, you want to show them the demo. The moment they started talking about the scenario, I saw the soul leave the person's eyes and just not care at all. And I'm like,
Oh no.
yeah. I saw them both just be like, I'm going to listen to this person talk, but I'm done. I'm like, no, I think for someone who's very casual, starting off with just doing some dice rolling and just kind of punching each other a little bit, I think is fine. And again, customizing the scenario. Yeah.
Just
I
get
think
those
a major
thematics.
difference too. Yeah, I think a major difference too is like when you're going through a demo, you're gonna kind of want to showcase the game, air quotes showcase. But when you're like teaching a game, that's when you're like gonna break it down more. I feel like there's a huge difference between demoing and like teaching people.
That's a really
That
good
makes
hair to
sense.
split. Absolutely. Like, because
Yeah.
that's something that I feel like teaching the game is completely different than giving a demo. Like,
Right.
and that's
It's
when I
kinda
think
like
the
how Yoda said.
approach. Yeah. So the approach at that point is far more important. Like, how do you want me to teach you this game? But just like the demo itself is like, that's where I think we should probably start touching on the turning it up or turning it off in some cases, turning it down in others. And so personally, I struggle a lot with turning it off and turning it down. And I don't mean this in like a toot my own horn way. I don't mean this in I can't give a good demo way. I literally mean
hard to
I
do that.
see an optimal decision on the board, and I cannot not take it.
Sam, turn it off. Stop using Thanos for every single game. With it's
Don't
not
do
a good demo. Damn it.
It's hard. I really do. I know what he's saying though. Like it's really hard to like see those. Like see like oh I can just walk, grab this point, walk away, and there's nothing they can do, and I'm gonna score 2 or whatever. And it's really hard not to do that.
Yeah.
And it's harder to like be playing Quicksilver and just punch people.
See, for me,
But
it's real
what's
easy
more
because I'm a
fun for them,
dumbass.
yeah.
So
Oh well, there you go.
I easily can turn it
heard it
off.
here
It's
first,
called
Dave,
every day,
dumbass.
baby.
All I have to do is walk over to this flip secure and flip it. Oh wait, I could throw you off of it first, and then it's like guaranteed. You know, it there are things that you make in your mind that like, do I throw this size 4 building at you? I know mathematically you're going to survive that.
Yeah.
I could just throw you off the point,
That'd be
and now
cool.
I'm in a better spot. So
See,
like,
for me, I have I guess I have in this case a very great thing that goes for me, which is I don't know how to calculate odds percentages, so I don't even know what to do. Everyone's like, oh, well, this is about a 14% chance. I'm like,
No,
bruh,
you're giving me
I've
way
been
too
looking
much
at-
credit.
I can't do the numbers, but I can get pretty close. Yeah.
I just assume their dice are perfect and my dice will be terrible, and
I
we just go from there.
I always remember one of our players, like we were playing ways back, and I think I was playing, I think I was playing Brotherhood into them, and they were playing Web Warriors, and they're like, well, the chances of Magneto one-shotting both Wolverine and this character here are like, what, something percent? And then next turn I went, yo, let's go, and just knocked them both out. They're like, well, that percentage is really low. Like, maybe I don't know the percentages, and I'm too dumb to know them, so let's go. And it worked for me.
Ignorance is bliss, man.
But that's part of why we
That's
play
so
this
dumb.
game.
I,
Is those
Never tell me
exciting
the
moments.
odds. I live
Yeah,
by that. Never tell me the
exactly.
odds. I'm going to do it.
I
Let's
was,
go.
I was playing a game when I was still learning how to play, and my opponent, I was playing Asgard, my opponent was playing Web Warriors, and my opponent was clearly like a better player. Like he'd been playing minigames for a long time. He knew all like the numbers and shit. And I think what happened was Thor like charged in with a 4 Asgard, smacked Miles, and between Thor's like 2 attacks and a size 4 terrain throw, I managed to daze both Miles and Gwen. And he was like, "That's statistically improbable. That shouldn't have happened." I'm like,
Well, suck it. It
They're
happened.
Marvel dice, buddy. These odds have no odds.
Okay, like that's great that like you don't think this is possible, but like now that it has, what are you going to do?
Look,
and that's
I-
always like why I think I'm like a solid player in this game is because I'm not like you said I'm too stupid to know like what should happen. So I'm
Let's
always
go.
just like I'm always working on the fly. It's like, okay, this is the situation right now. What do I hope will happen? And let's see if we can make that work.
Yes, hopes and dreams. That's what this game runs on. Let's do it.
Exactly.
Like, but
Wasn't
this
that
is
what
something else that
Rebellion
works for the
runs on?
game. There's something else that works for the game is that the Crisis Protocol dice, like you can have a casual player sometimes just whoop someone who's like really competitive because sometimes the dice.
Oh
will
yeah, on the Marvel dice note, whenever folks are like, "Oh, I shouldn't even bother doing this; it's not going to work," I'm like, "You can't say that in this game." I have
Yep.
seen,
Nope.
I've seen Wong one-shot Thanos with a death decree. I've seen
The
Wong
sheer
hit
quantity
the
of grunts that just like murder like 5-threat characters just all on their own. Yeah, like, and you're just like, I don't. Okay, that was just 6 hits that
I'll
came
never
through.
Fury's grunts are they're the Gatling gun. They're the most frustrating piece.
They
of the
really
game.
are.
And
I'll
they
never
just- they
forget the
consistently
game.
hit for 5. Yeah.
I had a game where I was running. I can't remember. I think I was running Convocation or whatever, and I was running Ancient One. Of course, I love Ancient One, but she never does anything for me, and I'm always like, God damn it. Meanwhile, Ninja Grunts pop in. They're like, yeah, we'll just casually do more damage than Ancient One. Suck it. And I'm like, what the hell? You're a 4-threat model, and the Grunts are doing more work than you. What is going on?
Blap blap.
The grunts are better, dude. The grunts
mean,
are more
honestly.
powerful than Fury.
I love how people are like, Grunts don't seem that powerful, and I'm like, yo, bro, like,
No, they're insane.
NCP dice, baby. No, every single time. I forget, there was another game recently where my grunts were just doing all the work, and I'm like, yo, grunts, let's go. And they're just ridiculous. Anyway, but
Okay, so while we're nice and off topic and like talking about kind of degenerate stuff, one thing that I wanted to kind of segue into, because the last thing that we talked about before we completely degenerated is what do you bring to the store, right? It's like, what are you bringing to the store to play with? When AMG spoiled the Masters like format, right? So basically like this, bring 3 rosters, and they didn't give us all the details. So one of the things that my buddy Jared and I have started trying to work on with our people is bring 3 rosters with no overlap. No overlap in crisis, no overlap in tactics,
Oh, like
no
that
overlap in
too.
models, right? Yeah. And like if you can do that, good for you. If you can't, that's fine. bring what you can, right? So if you only got one team that you like, just bring that. We don't care. But for your more competitive players, to push them in that direction, I think is a good way to get a good spread of things that are in the box. Because now it's not just like this is my competitive roster, this is my casual roster, this is my good guy roster, my bad guy roster. You're bringing 3 different things that are going to have 3 pretty different approaches. So you're going to be a little more ready for someone who wants to play a different style than you do. And like you can even have one of those things be like a total throw off, right? Because it gets really hard. That third list gets really hard when you have 0 overlap between anything else.
Sam, what are you talking about? No one has 30 models. What are you, crazy? That's insane.
No, right. I certainly don't have 30 models on a wall behind me. Nope. And a closet full of them. Absolutely not.
Oh my God.
So, like, what do you guys think about something like that? Just as a way for some of your, and maybe it's not you. Maybe you've got, a Mike DeLuca in your area or a Hyper Viper in your area. Someone that like isn't you, but it's
we
like
have 2 of those over here in SoCal now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's freaking Thunderdome over there. So my point is, can you push some of your more competitive players in that direction so that when they show up to the store, even if they're not like a great player, but if there's somebody who likes to bring that broken stuff, at least they're going to have something that's a little bit more palatable, in theory, in that box somewhere? Because that's one of the other things that we saw happen last summer during the sweatiest summer of LVO qualifiers, right? We had so many LVO qualifiers. We had so many people who were pushing hard. And then we also had our regular, far more casual MCP players. And we pushed them all out. We pushed them into their own little hole. And then they played in that little hole for a little while together without any of us involved. And then they just moved on to other games. And none of it was purposeful. It was never like, hey, get out of here, guys. They just didn't want the games that were getting played into them. And that is something I can completely understand. And, it's not everybody. It's not every single player, every single night. But this is where that turn 0 discussion kind of comes into play, where you've got to understand what you're bringing. And this is also kind of to tie into what I was talking about, like, just because you brought a bad list doesn't mean that you're not making optimal decisions on the table. And so it's not just what you bring, it's also the mindset that you're bringing to the game. And so I think that trying to find a way to split that difference and listen to the things that Chris has said and not the things that I tend to do by default, like those are the things that we need to be doing to help build this up.
Just drink more. Just drink more. Then you're not making an optimal decision. Oh, you know what? I can't technically say that because I know people who get trash playing tabletop games and still rip shit and are just like, I'm like, how? How do people get blitzed off their minds at these conventions?
Hey, what is it like? It's the whole like study high, test high, like thing.
Oh my God, I forgot all about that. I never will forget when y'all came down to our store for that and fucking oh God, what was his name? Where they were just like cracking beers in the back. I'm like, what is going on?
Nothing.
I really wish my local game store, they have like kids playing there all the time, and I totally get it. But there are definitely days where I really wish I could just go to the corner store and buy like a 40 and then just come back in and play Marvel for like 6 hours.
Oh my God!
So sometimes I did it around the corner. Yeah.
Some people are blessed with a place that just like has a bar inside, or has accessibility.
When I was in Portland, when I was visiting Portland, and you could just like play a game of Marvel, and they like a server would come bring you drinks. I was like, why? What is going on?
Why would I ever
Why is
leave?
the world always like this? Yeah.
Can I just sleep here? You have an extra spot underneath this table here. I can just sleep tonight. Just send it straight to my veins.
Yep, pretty much.
So I don't know. What do you guys think about bringing that kind of a spread? Do you think that's enough?
I was liking too earlier, like the separation anxiety format. Just bringing a few things of 11 points. Like
I have that in my boxer constantly. Yeah.
So that's another one where that's not our demo. That's not our game. Like 2 or 3. That's like you got to have people that are kind of hooked at that point, because now we're not just playing a tabletop game together. Now we've got this weird political thing going on around the table.
Well, that's why it's fun. Like I've had people with their first game of separation anxiety, and it's gone very well.
All right.
Well, and you can really do 2v2 with that too. I feel like
you could.
opposite corners around a team. Yeah.
I think like
To
also
kind
and
of
this
just
is
if you
something
have that many
else.
people at the same time.
I
Right.
think that's something else as well that also for when you're getting your new people into the game as well. I think every time it should be mentioned about separation anxiety and the ultimate encounters. Like we haven't
Yeah.
done an ultimate encounter in a while, but I kind of because lately we've had kind of an influx of some people, but it shifts out. But we always have at least 3 to 4 consistently, and I'm kind of like I want to get like a ultimate encounter thing going for like one of those nights. But it's always something to be like, hey, there's these other formats of the game, so like you have the 4 players for one. 4 people playing at one time, which is great. The ultimate encounters 2v1 like is something I think always is important to mention as well for your demos as well. Just to be like, hey, it's not just this. There's other stuff, and the company continues to put out other stuff as well that works very well. And there's various ways to play, and I think that also brings a lot of people in and to stay with it anyway.
Don't bring the Thanos Ultimate Encounter and play that against
haven't
newer
played it
players.
yet. I haven't played it yet. I want to play the Dormammu one because I painted that bad boy up just to play it, and I still haven't got a chance to yet. So
It's really fun for the Thanos player.
I was going to say, is it for you, Sam? Is it fun for you, Sam?
I loved it. I was like, what if Thanos was even better? Oh my goodness.
Wait,
yes.
wait. Hold on a minute. Wait, Sam, you like Thanos? This is news to me. It's the first time I'm hearing about
I know,
this.
I know. I hide it well. I'm not wearing
Yeah,
a
I'll
Thanos
say.
shirt tonight.
Oh, no, not at all.
It's a backup. Our backup. All right, so more casual formats is an interesting part to start talking about now, because I think that with these, again, going back to our super sweaty summer last year, we went from like having a pretty decent draw on a weekly basis to having a quieter crowd on a weekly basis to having the Unstoppable Colossus event. And
Oh, the Juggernaut thing?
yeah,
That was
and
cool.
it drew a great crowd. We had a great crowd. Like everybody came and played that, and we had a decent spread of competitive players and casual players, and we were working together, and it was actually really solid for getting like different like minds to thinking about the game differently and doing different stuff, and we had a blast with it. But it's hard to pull those things off more than once, I think, for a lot of people. Some people don't.
Yeah, I
like.
can agree with that.
There's a I don't know, a repeatability to Crisis Protocol as a
Right.
game, but some of those ultimate encounters are like more just like, hey, we did the thing, it was awesome. Like Vibranium Heist is a great example of that. You've played Attacker, you've played Defender, you probably don't want to play that again. And it's not because it's terrible, it's just because it's just a thing, and you do it this way, and then you do it that way, and there's not a whole lot more to it than that. The depth that the main game has isn't necessarily there.
Yeah, we did the Spider-Man one, and we kind of quickly realized, I'm like, this is over, and like we had like people coming in for that event that night, and then when we played it, it was like, yo, we're done in like 15 minutes. Like,
Oh wow.
oh yeah, it went really quick because it's like once they realized very quickly, like, oh, here's how we can like stop it, and I was looking at the rules, I'm like, yeah, I think this works. I don't think we're playing this wrong. And it was just like it's over so quick. It was literally like, okay, can we stop Spider-Man by doing this one thing, and he can't knock us all out. Hey, we've won. I was like, wow, okay,
Oh.
it goes really quick.
That's that Parker luck.
Yeah, the Parker Luck one. That was the one that was like, wow, this is a very quick one of these of the
Just didn't have much.
event nights.
Interesting.
that?
I haven't played that one, so that's one I don't know.
It's been a few months, but that one
Hulk's
was
fun.
like, I was
Ultron's fun.
Like, no, I have Ultron one.
Ultron's
Symbiotes is
Ultron's cool
It's
because
like
you
a,
can
it's
like
like a
go
roguelike.
together.
You get different powers every time. Like it's really fun getting like
Yeah.
Kingpin or Hulk with Pounce. I'm a big fan of that.
I will say the Dormammu one, from what I've seen of it, it seems like actually a pretty fun one. If you haven't played that one yet, that one seems
the
because you
Magneto
kind of
was
shift
dope.
up the models that
the
Dormammu
Magneto one's good too, right?
What was
like
that?
Magneto's supposed to be fun. I haven't played the Magneto one. I've only played
That's all it was
Symbiote.
supposed to be.
So we played the Magneto one. That one's pretty interesting, just because it's Magneto trying to like guide the missile into a certain spot. If he gets lucky, he can kind of roll it, as I recall, because I haven't played this one since like, geez, over a year past. But I remember it went on for a little while and wasn't like too bad. The Parker Luck one was the one that was over in the fastest amount of time, though. That one just really shocked me. But the Magneto one I know had some replayability. We played it a couple times, and that was fun. There was another one, the one that I think came out with the Doctor Strange card. Yeah, it was the one with the Doctor Strange alternate edition card and the
Dorm kit.
yeah, the Dormammu kit. That was the one. That one, I remember that one also being pretty quick. Like basically what the problem with that one was after you players who had never experienced before, and I never, like whenever we play those events, I never tell people ahead of time, hey, here are the rules. I'm like, this event's happening. here's what you need to bring. I'm not giving you any more information. Because I know people will. I know gamers will optimize it as best they can. Like, oh, well, this seems brutal. If I
What?
use
Who?
stagger-
Who would do that? Who would do such a thing?
I don't
Who
know.
would just go on the internet and tell lies?
You think someone would just do that? But like, people are like, you should tell us what it does. I'm like, no, because I don't want people to build it optimally. But then, literally, after they played it like once or twice, they realized, oh, all I have to do to maximize this is do this, and I've beaten the scenario. Like by the third round, people were like done like that. So it kind of goes again. Once you played it like once or twice, you kind of figure out what to do. So it's like. It's good for casual, I think, for building for like first demo, like not like your first demo, but like something when someone's casual, like showing them the different play modes. But I just, like you said, I don't think it has that sustainability, unfortunately. And I was thinking about this the other day too. Like, I'd love
Yeah,
to
I
see
think
more
it's
of
cool
that.
to like throw in between to kind of help offset burnout, maybe. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't having it
Yeah.
a regular thing might kind of wear itself out.
It's like you need a
Yeah,
critical
I-
mass too, right? Like that's something where you need a critical mass of players at the store. So whether that's like the store just has that kit and they don't give the parts away, right? So it's just always there. Or you've got to have a local player who has all the parts of the kit, has enough of an interest in playing that kit again or providing it to other people. Or you need a store that's like, we're going to do this thing and we're going to like sell it. And we want you to come, and we want you to bring your friends. We want you to bring your new players and your old players and the players who haven't been around for 6 months, and just try to make it as much of an event as possible. And like that's great so long as it works out. It's not so hot when like you got a bunch of legwork in and 5.5 people show up and somebody leaves.
Forever.
Man, that's tough.
Never experienced that.
No,
Nor have
so-
I ever ran an event which I specifically advertised as a casual event and had people say after round one, oh, we're leaving. We drove in like 2 hours, but this isn't fun for us because we thought it was going to be more
Aw.
competitive. And I'm like, what? Sorry. Side tangent. I still have not gotten over that one. Anyway.
Was that the snowball event?
Yes, it was.
Golly, that's so funny to me because that was one of the most fun events that I've ever done. So for
Oh, yeah.
this has been talked about on at least 2 podcasts. I think one of them was a Rogue Agents cast, but Chris put together it was Christmas themed Winter Wonderland like day. So we all showed
the
up with
snowball one. That was super fun.
our regular rosters, right? To like do our regular roster stuff. And he was like, okay, I don't care what secure you picked this round. This is your new secure this round. And he would just go and he handed all of them out to everybody. And so we all played like it was like whatever extract you had, but like here's the secure. And the next round it was like whatever secure you have is fine. Now here's your extract for this round. And then I think the last round we played a combination of the 2 or something. It was one of the most fun days. I had one of the most cinematic things that has ever happened to me in this game. I had She-Hulk throw a snowball at Dormammu and kill him. And it was amazing.
It all came down to it. It all came down to that one snowball throw. It was great, and I still remember that one too because I was on the edge of my seat. It's like, oh, is this gonna
How
happen?
many dice was a snowball again? It was
One.
Like 5 or something?
It's one.
It was
It was
one.
one. Oh my god!
It was
Could you
one.
boost it with the
Nope.
She-Hulk
No,
dice?
could not.
No, it was just
So
one
the
die.
way I designed
That
was
rules.
the way I designed it was you got to throw the snowball. You got to do it. I think if I remember correctly, it was part of the extract. So you pick it up, you get it for free, but it's only one die. But if you do damage with it, you did stun on the enemy. It was a free attack, but you only get one die with it. So it's like, okay, that
could
seems
kill them.
like. Yeah, I mean, your chances of doing it are very low, but the times it happens, it's 1 damage at most. Although
Yeah.
I believe I had to errata it immediately after round 1, because I believe it was Sam who said, yo, I brought Dormammu. What happens here? And I went, son of a bitch. Because the skull, you can count your opponent's skulls for the snowballs. I went, all right, if you brought Dormammu,
Right.
you can't use the skulls, okay? It doesn't work. You get 1 damage maximum. So I errated it right after.
No, let Dormammu do 2 damage.
No,
or
no, no,
something.
no.
Don't
He
attack.
did. He did it for 1 round, and then after there, I errated it to be only 1 damage maximum because I was like, a free attack for it. Don't get me wrong. I want
It's
Dormammu.
one die. Okay, whatever. Yeah, it's fine.
One
At
die
that
does
point in
5
time, I
damage,
get
and
it.
your opponent rolls 4 skulls, and you
It
roll
was
like
enough. It was enough.
it was enough. It was great. I mean, but in those ones, I try to always build it for the casual. But I think the fun is that people who are like, I can't competitively build for this. I'm like, yeah, but if you're
That
a
was the
competitive
point.
player, yeah, but I know, but I'm just like, I have the mindset of if you're a really good player, you should be able to adapt on the fly to things that change. And
Yeah.
again, people were asking like, oh, is it going to be a regular event? And I was like, yeah, But because people who know me know I love to fuck with people. You all came out of town, so you didn't know. But Andy and all our other people who are locals, like Chris is probably going to do something really fucking stupid. Like every winter event he does, there's always a curveball we don't expect ever for any tabletop we do. And lo and behold,
Or
and then this
snowball,
year,
either way.
I can't remember if you came to last year's or not, Sam.
I don't think I could make it last year.
Yeah, so you weren't there for that one, but when I did it this year, everyone's like, "Is he going to change the scenario?" It's like, no. Why would you think that? I'm not going to do that.
Oh no, then I was. I think I was there
Oh.
because that was right
Oh, yes,
before Andy
right.
left.
Yes, it was because you had all your stuff. You had your fanny pack of stuff that like
Yeah,
was prepared. For
yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not.
I'm in the
gonna-
wild now. I'm in the
Yeah.
wild again.
and then people were like, actually, it was you. I'm remembering it now. You're all like, he's gonna do something. Just wait. He's gonna do something. I'm
It's
like,
got to
no,
be
I'm not.
something. He
Yeah,
didn't do
something's
anything.
happening. Yeah, and I was like,
Oh,
all right, everyone's
crap.
deployed. Cool. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, all right, everyone deployed. Cool. So here we go. I'm replacing my
Round one.
tactic card this year. It was like, if I remember correctly, I had developed like 3 different tactic cards that were like, I tried to balance them as best I could, and I was like, you have to remove. If I remember correctly, it was like I think you had to remove 2 of your tactic cards, and you had to choose 1 from this list of 3, if I recall correctly. But they were all like cool, interesting stuff that could be exploited. I just didn't want people to be able to pre-build for them.
Yeah.
But everyone else, except for those people who left, said they had a great time. Every time I've done them, it's fun, it's thematic, and it's crazy, and it always leads to fun. And not to mention, at the end of the day, the tournament prize was depending on. This is why I couldn't get over those guys who were like, "Oh, this isn't competitive," and I was like, or whatever. I'm like, yeah, what part of your selection of where you end up in the tournament in your bracket is where you pull during White Elephant at the end of the night? At what point was that like, yeah, this is a competitive LVO qualifier kind of situation, So
I
But
only
yeah,
know how
I-
to sweat and try hard.
yeah, exactly. I always exactly. I'm like, all right, and I just got glares from them. I'm like, all right, I guess that's fine. But like, it was. We all had a lot of fun with it. It was great. So I love doing those. They're very fun, and I hope to do it again this year.
I
Personally,
mean,
but
a great way to get people to pay attention to the game that you're playing is to be having a great time while you're doing it. Like Marvel's going to bring people to the table. That's great, but like just watching people have a great time is fantastic. Like that's really where you're just like, what are those guys doing? Like I want what they're having,
and I always encourage dressing to the nines for that Christmas attire. It's so much fun. So.
It's a good time.
I love doing it.
It's a good time. So we got one more comment from the chat that I want to bring up here, which was about getting 2 kind of experienced players to play each other and having spectators for it. Now, that's one that I can get behind that. But at the same time, it's like, I also spectate games. I will choose to spend my time spectating a game, both at the local game store or on the internet. I will find a game to watch. I will do things where it's like, this is what I want to do with the next 90 to 2.5 hours, 90 minutes to 2.5 hours. So, like, what do you guys think about that? And like, how do you facilitate that then? Like, do you advertise? Do you like, oh, this is a heavyweight fight between so and so and so and so who you've never met? Like,
But trust me, it's gonna be on Sunday.
we do press conferences where we're
kinda-
like trash talking, or like, how do we?
Dude, I love doing shit like
use
that.
the
I like
wrestling
doing the
belt.
fake wrestling stuff. Exactly.
Yeah.
So good.
I'll kind of self plug here. I've had people tell me that like they really like that I make YouTube videos just because I'm like a better player or whatever, and I post everything and I try and talk through whenever I'm playing. So if someone does just like want to watch, I have been like, hey, like, don't take this the wrong way, but you can watch me play a bunch of games like throughout the game's history on YouTube. And there are a bunch of other people who do that. Like battle reports are really interesting. I know.
I love them.
Norbert-
I love them.
Yeah. Dr. Norbert is consistently putting out like high level TTS games, or he's it's him and Huggy fucking around, just the 2 of them, and it's like it's a very strong binary. It's one of those 2 things on his channel. But like there is, like, if you just want to hop in a game and watch, a lot of the time if you're just on the TTS Discord, people, if you hop into like their call, it's like, hey, could you stream? They'll usually say yes, or they'll tell you to leave, and who cares? There'll be 4 other people playing. If you have like a dojo with your friends, I'm pretty sure they're going to let you watch their game. Yeah, stuff like that. And there's like,
Right.
this game isn't the most popular streamed on Twitch, obviously, but like, it does happen.
There are some YouTube channels that I feel like do very well as well with that. Like, there's some of them who are like, I want to watch some of the games. I'm like, this is from a casual perspective. Like, if it's a more competitive one, I can normally lead them like, oh, there's like TTS games, there's leagues that are done online. But there are some that, like, when they're just like kind of like dice rolling on the board and they kind of like add extra stuff in there, I'm like, this I think will hold your interest. There was one YouTube channel that did like 2 battle reports for Marvel Crisis Protocol, and they're mostly 40K based. But
that's why.
My goodness,
those guys did not. So I can't remember their name, but those guys make they make famous 40K videos, and they are used to getting like really millions of views on that stuff. And the Crisis Protocol stuff just didn't take off. But the level of production they put into it was mind-blowingly amazing.
It was so good, and I was like, "Oh my god, this might be my new favorite Crisis Protocol battle report channel." And then I'm like, "So where's the third video?"
When because they would do like the reality show like Takeaway, like they would like cut away, and the guys would be like, "Frickin' Richard, he always rolls so hot. Every game we play, every time we play these games together, he's just like the hot hand. He just does whatever." And the other guy's like, "Yeah, well, Mike's the new guy, so I'm trying not to like beat him up too bad.
Kill him, yeah.
I'm just kind of like letting this roll out, and then I just keep rolling so hot. It's terrible."
I don't know what to do. Yeah.
That's how we need to do more battle reports. I need to cut back. I need to have my wand in my hand and be like, I cannot believe this snake ass shit that piece of shit did to me. I wasn't having that. Oh my god.
So, okay, again though, we are talking to a player that is already interested with this part of the conversation, right? We're talking to someone that like not only did they like want to play this game, but they wanted to learn about this game. And so they're like, I can't get enough time with this game for one reason or another. I'm going to devour content, right? So they're looking at podcasts, they're looking at YouTube videos, or they're watching Twitch streams, like whatever it is, they're engaging with it. How do you get someone from point A to point B? Not everybody's going to make that journey from point A to point B. I would just like to see us have a whole heck of a lot more people hovering around point A. And I think that keeping things in a safe, casual space is where we're going to get a lot more of that. And so one of the things that Jared wanted to make sure that I said on this show, because this is basically his topic idea. We were talking at Nova, and this is something that came out of that conversation. And he wanted to make sure that we touched on the more players you have, the more casual players you have, the better chance you have of getting another player that's going to be competitive, or at least is going to be like interested and bite hard and be there every week. Because none of us wants, like, everyone who's on this cast right now completely understands you got to be consistent. You got to get out there every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, whatever your game night is for MCP at your store. You've got to be there. If you're going to be the banner carrier, okay, great. If you're not the banner carrier, but it's your game, you're still probably going to be there. And you're going to come out and you're going to be consistent. Making that the safe space is really important. There's got to be a safe space for people to show up and learn how to play this game. And it's not just the demo. It's not just the second week, right? It's the third week, the fourth week, the fifth week, the next month, the 6 months. And at that point, you've got like a critical mass of buy-in, at least in theory, because they bought a core set, they bought their first squad. They were like, well, I'd also like this. And then they're like, oh, well, maybe that wasn't so great. So I want to pivot and get some new characters to put into it, an existing roster. And again, these are all situations where you already kind of have the buy-in from that person, but getting them from point A to point B is really what I think this episode is trying to facilitate. Because honestly, that's the big one for me. That's where I'm trying to get this group that I've got locally back to a point where we've got a good amount of players coming out. So how do you think you do that? So some of the ideas that I think are pretty low-hanging fruit are running a league of some sort, a low-stakes league, something to get people coming in. How would you, what do you think a low-stakes beginner league looks like? How do you get someone, so we got the demo game. We did good. We lost. They won. They had a blast. We didn't use busted stuff against them. We showed them game mechanics. We taught them about the theme and the cinematography of the game and your imagination and how to like make the most out of it. What's the next level now? How do we get you to come back and play more games with us? Because it's not always going to be with like the bumper bowling lanes on. You know what I mean? Like they're going to come back 2-3 weeks later and they're going to play somebody else in the group. And maybe that guy is going hard, right? So like, how do you facilitate a conversation in like the upper level of the group so that everybody's on the same page? So nobody's clubbing seals, nobody's going too hard, nobody's being too crazy. so that there's a safe place for people to come and play this game however they want to. So turn zero conversation, obviously important, but what's the incentive, right? So like beyond just like getting you to come back because for the love of the game, what's the incentive that you think can be a part of that to get people to come back and play?
Sweep the leg, no mercy in this dojo.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, after we got you to buy everything, we're just gonna take you out back and put you out of your misery.
I mean, there's enough smart people in the world. They're all smarter than me, right? And like, it's just like they get in and they're just like, nope, I'm aware of the sunk cost fallacy. These guys suck. I'm out.
Oh my god.
But what's the next level?
I think, at least for me personally, I think it's just like, I mean, again, I would actually like to get like a League King thing kind of going. I'm trying to figure out a way to kind of make that happen, because it's like, how do you pull it in? Like, what do they get out of it? Like, is there some sort of prize and stuff like that? You know, like something like small little tokens for people who play League. I mean, people love like token stuff. That's always great. I think once they've invested into the core, I think you always have to try and make it like, yeah, exactly. But we haven't gotten anything like that big. That's why I think with the core set, the new one coming out, there is a new League thing that's coming out. So I'm very excited about that, because I'm like, not only do you have a new core that's going to bring people in, they have a League right away, right after.
Yeah.
You get to fire off with that, which is great.
What is this league? Can you tell me more?
Well, there's like a, from what I understand, they put an announcement about it, is that you do the League after you start the core box. You get a, I believe it's foil Zemo and a foil.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah. So that's one, I believe. It's like you do like a League thing, kind of like they did when the game first released with the core box. I think it's going to be something else in that vein, where you had the Captain America and Black Widow. I think for me, I try to always, if we don't have something like that going, if you have your Discord, I think having your Discord channel, your channel that you can point people to for talking about something in your store or your area, and trying to always push for them to get a conversation going, you know, to make, you guys have like, you know, the podcast Discord and everything like that, but just trying to make them always feel included within the community, and trying to always offer that, like, hey, you can ask me questions here, and try to help everyone pushing to help them in some way. I think really helps a lot if you don't have like a League thing going. I think like having that community connection, because we all want to be part of a community in some way or form, and making them always feel included.
What is the thing that you found most successful as far as that piece? Like Discord, Facebook, or
I think Discord for sure, because it's a lot more quicker. People have more access to it now. People are off of Facebook, social media. I think it's kind of a different forth between. Discord seems the most popular one. Your store might already have one, in which case you could facilitate with them, like, hey, we want to get a Crisis Protocol channel started in that Discord that y'all have, if you're all okay with that. Like, I know ours, we have one dedicated just for Marvel Crisis Protocol. There's one that's just for Marvel Crisis Protocol, and one for looking for game for Marvel Crisis Protocol. So one for just general everyday discussion, one for I want to go out on this day that's not a Wednesday and go play. And I always tell people, like, you know, I will try to push people and be like, hey, these people are trying to do it on a weekend, but don't overcommit yourself with like trying to do all the work for them. They're adults, they can, you know, schedule games. But I feel like Discord's the best way to do that, because, like, example, we have people who are jumping back who have been not taking part in the Discord on Marvel Crisis Protocol, because once the releases came out, the new update, suddenly people are like, hey, what's going on over here again? They're popping back in. Yeah, exactly. I feel like that, and just always making them feel included, even outside of when you're not playing at home, is so big to maintaining and keeping that friendship. I mean, it's friendship and community to keep everyone connected at one time. I always try to, like, even if it's like a quiet week, I always try to get something like, hey, what are y'all painting right now? What do you think of this combo? Or, you know, hey, what about this character? What do you all think about it? What are your discussions? It's like, you know, that kind of thing. Just to get some engagement and keep it actively going, to show constant engagement in there. I'm not saying you have to make it a full-time job, but eventually you'll hit something where there'll be a long discussion, and they'll show activity, and they'll always show, even outside of game night, hey, there's activity even not in the game night that I'm going. I think that's huge, personally. No surprise, I guess. Community.
No, I agree with that.
Because you can talk about this all day, you know, dropping, you know, different lists and rosters, because I think that's a lot of, it's a much bigger piece of the game. Roster construction and theory for that is, like, I'd say way more to the game than actually playing it in some instances.
It's true. I had actually, like I said, I had just started playing Lorcana when I was doing some like research into the game to see if I wanted to commit with it. I had watched the company that was making it talk about when they were developing the game, and something they talked about kind of connected with me, where they said a big part of this game is deck construction, because when you're not playing the game at home, half of the game you're playing is at home constructing your deck and designing it. And it made me think that kind of applies for this too, because even then when I'm not thinking about it, I'm even now like, okay, I'm playing new defenders, and I've been trying to think, like, do I want to take Electra this week? Do I want to take Wolverine? Wolverine's got like 3 tactic cards to put on him. Do I take Sabretooth out? And even like when I'm not playing this, I'm constantly thinking about these things. And even just selling that about like, hey, even when you're not playing, there's still a game being played of, hey, this week try this. I mean, that even could be something that would be fun with people for casual. Now that I'm spitballing this with y'all, it's like, okay, each week shift something out of your 10. Never bring something. Like, you always have to switch to 1 or 2 characters. I think that would be fun, and I'm probably, now that when we're done with this podcast, I'm probably going to say, hey guys, here's an idea I have. Why don't we try it every week? You have to bring 2 different characters.
Yeah.
And maybe what could be fun would be, hey, and this is again if you have like a larger collection, like maybe not, or be like, maybe not for like someone who's just starting, but like if they've been in the game for a while, to keep it fresh, be like, hey, next week when you play, your opponent gets to choose 1 character you cannot bring next week. Like, that would be interesting. I would love to do that.
So long, Malekith.
I don't know about that one.
Oh yeah,
But just
I'm
one
not.
character.
Yeah, but like I have
Maybe
a favorite
non-leader,
character.
non-leader. Maybe non-leader character.
I don't. My favorite character is not my leader. But whatever.
So one of the things that we did early on in the TTS League was we did. It was called Beta Splendence, and it's still around, but it's in a really different format now. But what we did for the first ones is that everyone was like, "Hey, like this is a chance to learn how to play the game better." And so we did like a 3 or 4 week league where each week, now you could play whatever you wanted from week to week, but each week you had to bring these like 6 crises, 3 secures, 3 extracts. These are the ones you had to bring. So the first ones were, these are all wide, very spread scenarios. So you would always be playing on a very wide or spread out scenario in week 1. Week 2 is these are our narrow secures and extracts. So you would come in and you would have to play on a narrow extract. So, and then after that it was like high points and low points, or some other element of the game where it was like, okay, these are the spreads, this is what you're going to do. So if you were like, I want to play webs, I'm going to learn how to play webs. So I'm going to bring in webs, and I'm going to play webs every week. I'm going to play them spread, I'm going to play them narrow, I'm going to play them high points, I'm going to play them low points, and I'm going to learn how to do this at every step of the way. Or you could come in, you could be like, I'm going to try to bring the thing that I think is best on this setup, right? It's really good at high points, or it's really good at narrow, or it's really good at spread. And I think that those are some interesting points for kind of growing people's knowledge of the game, but I don't know how great it is for getting people to come back who aren't already kind of hooked, right? Because that's something where you're like, we're already in. What do we got to do? I definitely agree with you guys on everything about the game outside of the game. That you've got to basically enjoy roster creation, or this game is only going to be your table time, and maybe that's enough. But my guess is that you're going to grab as many affiliated models as you can, and then like two to five like favorite characters, and that's going to be what you bring, and that's fine. That should be okay. And as we talked about really early on, it's probably actually fine. It should be okay, because there really aren't very many characters that are below the curve, or at least below the curve where it matters. And the dice are crazy, so who knows what happens.
It's
Plus
true.
updates.
Plus
Yeah,
updates.
yeah.
The updates help.
That's true.
Second core helps.
I definitely think it's definitely. I'm just right now is like, I'd almost say this is the pinnacle time that if you could start trying to bring your players back. I mean, this is like right now the peak time.
Yeah, we
so
definitely
I think,
heard a
like,
lot of people talking about not having the same group that they had a year ago, or not having. And some of that's just attrition in gaming. You know, like people have things that change in their life as much as the game itself like changes or gets away from them, or something else. You're always going to lose players. You're not always going to get new players. So you've got to kind of find ways to get them. On that note, I don't want to say Lorcana again, but one of the
No, this is a good point that you're about to make, though. I know where you're going with this, and this is actually a good point.
One of the store owners that I used to frequent quite a lot when I lived in Southern California made a great point on social media the other day. He said that Lorcana is bringing people into the game store that wouldn't be there otherwise. I think Marvel's got some of that to it, right? It doesn't have the hype, right, that a brand new collectible card game has. But at the same time, it does have that IP that might bring you into a comic store, which might also be a game store, but otherwise you wouldn't be there to play games. And so his point about bringing fresh blood into the game store is that we're not asking people to switch games. We're not asking people to jump ship from game A to game B. We're trying to bring in someone who loves Marvel and see if they like tabletop games. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that there's spread here? Do you think that there's play there? And if that's the case, how do you get that guy? How do we get Hyper Viper 4 years ago, who likes comic books but doesn't necessarily love tabletop gaming?
I was going to say, like, I think we kind of touched on that before about finding out, like, again, what their background is and what they're interested in. And even if they're not interested in it, I think the IP pulls it enough in there for them. But, like, I was going to say, Hyper, like, for you, it's like, what is it that pulled you into it from not having tabletop experience prior to that?
You could throw buildings, so that seemed really fun.
Again, again, not to harp on that, but that's
I think it was on South Park.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, no, it was in an episode of South Park. I was like, oh, this looks cool, and I looked it up. I watched some YouTube videos. I was like, I mean, this is a totally different format than what I've ever played. Like, y'all don't understand. For the first like 2 years of this game, I didn't own a mat, so I would just duct tape a 3x3 box on my table. Like,
Hell yeah.
I was completely grassrootsing it. But yeah, no, it was an episode of South Park. It was throwing buildings around. Yeah.
Where did you see? So where did you? Was it just you saw it on South Park and then you looked it up and figured it out?
Yeah, they said Marvel Crisis Protocol. Oh, that's not out until whenever, and I looked it up and it was already out. I was like, oh, this looks cool, and I had it on like my Amazon cart for the longest time because I didn't know like about local game shops or anything like that. And then eventually, I was just like, you know, I'm gonna keep looking this up over and over and watching YouTube videos. I might as well fucking play it. So, and I played it and I loved it. And then me and my buddy. We spent like 2 days locked in my apartment just playing it nonstop, and we're like, oh, so maybe there's something to this.
It's just solid. It's like it's the definitely best tabletop I think I've played. Like that's I think what keeps me there is that the ability for it to grasp for casual players and not just be like if you're not even aware of like other larger tabletop games. I'm like I feel like it just works so well. You have quick games that can go very very quick. It's got explosive times. It's got a very narrative kind of feel. The buildings are all destroyable and usable as weapons. Again, let's harp on that some more because it's great. It's like the best thing and we'll pull it.
Size 6 terrain, not real. Uninteractive size 5s, not real. If you you say size 5 is not interactable, I'm not playing with you. That is my hard. That's the only line I have in this game. Like
just bring Hulk and Agent and She-Hulk and
that's what I'm saying. Like, if someone has brought those two characters and that card, and someone is still saying, "Oh, my size 5 isn't interactable," like it says on the box for the shield plane that you can't interact. I'm telling you, it's interactable.
Throw the plane.
Throw the plane.
I will never tell people you can't throw the plane. I will be like, nah, throw that shit. Let's do it. It's size 5, but throw it, please.
Well, then, yes, correct. That is the correct take.
I refuse to be ever told that I can't throw my terrain. On that note, on terrain, I wonder about like with the new terrain rules that are kind of coming out, if that will be something as well that might add another little injection for casual player and people trying to get into the game, where you can be
What's
like,
the
hey,
new terrain rule? I'm unfamiliar.
Some of the new terrain that they're releasing is going to have like abilities, right? So like when something happens in the game, do X. When you do something with this terrain, do Y. So like there's
that like the Asgard and Wakanda terrain? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Wakanda,
the Wakanda, they've shown some of the rules for those. They showed those at many
games. Those little cards though, right? Is that what we're talking about? Oh, I thought that was like an addition to your game that you could add if you want. I didn't think that was like part of the game.
You can. I just feel like it's something that can also kind of just add a little another layer of stuff to be like, hey, when you're pitching your game and getting people into it, it's like, hey, there's also these terrain rules coming out, and there's more that's coming out for stuff that already exists.
Again, we've got or the who or the tell me more.
I really liked I liked the vibranium truck that Magneto can throw 50 times. I was playing with that.
Oh God!
And you've also got that, right? Maybe don't bring Magneto to that demo game.
No,
And,
you absolutely should bring Magneto to that demo game.
and give it to them.
That'll really pull people in.
No, you should, no.
I would argue if you really want to play Magneto, go ahead. But you're going to be playing some Threat Down if you're doing it for a demo game.
I do that every demo game. I play like 1 or 2 Threat Down. Yeah.
1 or 2. I'm talking about like 4 or 5. I'd say 4 minimum
Just
or
bring Magneto.
maximum.
It's Magneto stands.
Yeah. I've done that. I brought like freaking I think it was when I did bring like Sentinel Prime and someone else. I was playing Threat Down, but again, the whole point of it was to be like, hey, here's these big guys. They're meant to win the demo games. You know, don't tell anybody, but like it works and it's cool. I think Magneto as a demo character would be interesting, but again, playing Threat Down, like I don't know, 4, like you said.
I think if you play Magneto without Asteroid M, that's a great demo character. Like he's slow, but he'll kill you if you get near him.
Yeah, handicap yourself. But I mean, also, it's one of those things where you guys gotta be like, is this something that someone can take down even without, maybe don't use I raise my stuff to, make me more defensive or something like that. Like, you can also handicap yourself and just not using certain abilities. And I mean, as long as it leads to a more fun narrative experience for that demo, I think it's fine.
And that goes back to my point about not being able to turn it off, turn it down, right? Like, this is the optimal thing for me to do, so I'm going to definitely play Magnetic Refraction this turn. Like, don't do it.
I can't say like you can't use Magneto's throw because I feel like somebody would shoot me in the head if they found out. Like, wait, you're playing it so you can't throw his terrain? What the hell is wrong with you?
No, that would be a bridge too far, I think. But I think keep it simple, right? Meet them on their level. Like these are the important things, right? Try to keep it simple. Meet them on their level. Speaking of the meet them on their level, right? Here, let's tangent this real quick. Going back to Discord. I think that wherever you're going to facilitate needs to be where people in your area are meeting. If you have people in your area and like they're all on Facebook, then like you're on Facebook now, buddy. Like that's where the banner carrier for MCP needs to be. If you've got players in your area and they're all on Facebook, meet them there. If they're all on Discord, meet them there. If they're on Slack, meet them there. If they're on Twitter, meet them there. Like it doesn't matter where they are. It matters that you're all together. Oh, sorry. Well,
sorry. Felt gross saying that. Anyway.
Meet them on their level, right? I think that you want to take that a step further. If they have any sort of mini-gaming background, you want to ask them, like, hey, like, what do you like to play? And then cater the crisis selection to them. Keep it simple, but cater it to them. Maybe we don't go straight into playing Spider Portals and something terrible like Research Station, right? Where it's just like it's this amalgamate pairing that like no one actually wants to play on. Like let's keep these things nice and simple, like Extremis or Infinity and Cubes or Spider Infected. The core set stuff from the original core works great.
Cubes is the worst.
I do too. I hate using cubes, but I always use it for the demo game because I enjoy the saying of, hey, you're picking up this thing, you're getting more power, but there's an offset for it, just to show you how to make some decisions.
It's just too easy to win on cubes. Is my problem with it.
Don't do those things. That's like the.
Normally, what I do is I only put 3 cubes on the board. I don't put all 5.
Oh, golly! Look at you go.
Yeah, just put 1 on the top, 1 near you, 1 in the middle, and I'm like, all right, there we go. Leave it at that.
Are you saying that the demo game doesn't matter? You're not setting their baseline for the rest of their experience with this game? They're going to be like, hey, hold on. Chris said that Chris only set up cubes with 3. What are we playing? What is this star pattern?
5.
I don't even understand this.
Is it a bad time to mention when I've done the demo game, I don't give them all 5 tactic cards, I only give them 2?
You mean you're not giving them 5 and you're taking like 2 or 1? So you're basically cheating, yeah.
And you're playing the threat down? They're going to be like, hey, hold on, we're 17. Chris only brought Magneto and Mystique and Sabretooth against me. What is...
So this is Malekith. This is after the update, so they're like, oh, okay. That's fine.
I mean, the point being, right, like, meet them on their level and throw something at them that they want to fight. Let them play on something that they want to learn how to, like actually engage with.
This is slightly off topic, but Sam, how is that local of yours who loves Malekith?
I haven't heard from him in a long time, along with most of the other locals in the area.
Oh, sorry, fuck.
What locals do you speak of?
Has anyone done a check on him? Was he like me, where he was sad at first?
No, we had
probably should. He's good at Blood Bowl, and we've got our Blood Bowl league about to fire off. So I'll probably see him around here pretty soon, and I'll ask him if he's seen it and if he's heard the news. how he feels.
You know
about
what
it.
you should do? You should tell him and be like, "Wait, it's okay. He has Hex on Butcher of Thors.
No,
it's okay."
I'm gonna tell him the same thing that I've told everyone when I brought Thanos out last week. I'm gonna say, "Hey, it's okay now. No one can hate you for this.
Yeah.
He's been nerfed into oblivion. He's safe now, right? He's neutered. He's like Nerf Malekith. Like everything's fine.
Don't worry
Like,
about with me having sacrifice and patch up. It's not real. It's fine.
Don't worry. I haven't had restricted cards in forever.
It's-
I'll
yeah,
be
it's
all
so nice to
right.
have him back.
I'm scared.
I mean, that about covers it then, right? Like that's been a lot of back and forth, and so I guess the last thing to throw into this mix kind of goes back to the bringing new blood into the game store is that your game store, wherever you are, whoever you are, has an incredible depth of casual players who you have never seen, because that product flies off the shelf. The product is not in the store. It gets sold. It gets picked up. People buy it. People buy core sets. You're like, where did they go? We had 3 core sets yesterday. I don't know anyone who bought one. Where, like, why? Some people buy it to paint. Some people buy it to play. Some people buy it to play at home with their wife or their kids or their friends, or they're this or they're that, or half a dozen other things. How do you get those people to come to the store and play with you? How do you find them?
I was gonna say,
You
like,
panhandle? You're like, what do we gotta do here? Just get the sluice machine set up. And
I was getting ready to go on the corner and just start like spinning a sign or something like that. I was like, wait, so I haven't met them in the store. They've left and they're not coming back. Like, I feel like at that point you have to find a way for the store to kind of let them know that, like, hey, this is the day they do these games. I mean, I try to like tell I think our store is pretty good about letting people know when they buy Crisis Protocol. It's like if they haven't seen them before, to be like, hey, if you're interested in this, they do this on Wednesday nights. But I feel like most people,
yeah, that guy was on a competitive podcast. I don't want to be anything. I'm not coming back to his game night.
why the fuck am I on here?
Well, there's two, like the option of a bulletin board type of deal for the store.
Yes.
We have one. We have one in our store. It's 99% of it's 40K, but whatever. You can throw your
Everyone's
stuff
is
up there
right now.
too.
It's like there's a lot of people's girlfriends in there, kind of a thing right now with 40K. You're just like, well, you guys will get sick of that sooner or later, and you'll come play MCP with us.
You'll come crawling back.
Hey, you know what's really great when you're trying to tell people about why you should play Crisis Protocol instead of 40K? Because it does not cost me over $400 to go ahead and make one small change to my team composition.
And the core rules haven't changed yet.
I would say you're not going to get GW'd, but I got GW'd, so.
I think Malekith is a special
You did get
case.
a bonus. Yeah,
He's a special case. You don't hear me complaining about Thanos.
I know I won't.
The cool guy.
Sam, how do you feel? Sam just like,
They massacred my boy. It's great.
that was Metallica. Look what they've done to my boy. It's fine.
I think it is. I think that so I hope this was a good, productive conversation for people, and I hope that this helps you bring some people in. I hope this helps you snag some people who just came in for demos, and we'll see where it goes. This is a great time to grow the game. We got a second core coming out, as we touched on, and like the character updates means that you've got a lot of buffed up and sanded down characters in the game between the first pass and the second pass. The designers are engaged. They want to make a good game. They want people to come out and play it. They don't want you to be a sweaty tryhard about it, like some people are.
Crickets.
Actually, that is something I think also just with the demo thing. I think it's something important to mention is that the developers do. I think it's shown in numerous cases they do care. They listen to the community. They're watching it and just telling about like the updates. Like, hey, a bunch of stuff changed, and these were all things people had issues with. They buffed some stuff. They nerfed some stuff. They're engaging and listening to us. Like I know. Shatterpoint has had kind of like the spotlight. It's the new child of theirs. But then this comes around, new core set, update to the character cards, which I theorized was going to happen too. I'm like, it all shows that they care and they watch the game. And I think just that gives a little more like, what's the word I'm looking for? It makes them feel better in doing this and feeling good about getting into this product and playing this game with everyone else.
And, conversations with other people are a huge part of this. And having real conversations with real people is a huge part of this. Because we play a tabletop game, right? So, like, the number one, we're meeting people in person. We're talking to people. We are playing people. And it's really easy to lose sight of that amongst the internet discourse or the plethora of content that happens. Sometimes there's not enough for people to talk about with this game. And so we keep talking about the same things. And if you're frustrated with some minor element, and that's the only thing that you ever get to talk about, it doesn't mean that the rest of the game is busted. It means that this little part that's like not perfect, and that's what we're talking about, because there's nothing to talk about otherwise, because it has done such a great job with the rest of what's out there. And it's a similar situation with, the competitive, casual. Your approach to the game is an important part of what you get from this hobby. There are people who just want to paint. There are people who want to paint incredibly well. There are people who want to paint and play incredibly well. There are people who only care about playing well. There are people who just want to put some superheroes on the table. And meeting people where they are, I think, is, if there's one takeaway from all of this, it's meet people where they are and give them the game that they want to play. And the more of that you can give, the more you're going to get what you're looking for out of this game too. Because the more people play it, they're going to get that experience. And game after game, here we are. Now we've got a decent group again, right? That should be that simple. Just A, B, C, boom, your play group's back.
Not to mention
explain
also,
this
it's
in
like
Marvel Crisis Protocol terms. You can attack one person and deal one attack with your beam. Or you can move into a better position and hit 3 people with the same beam. You have more chances for things to go right. So the more people in your community, the more targets in your beam.
okay. So what you're saying is hit more people.
Be efficient.
And I mean, if I may add on to that, like, I mean, even if you're like, if you are somebody who likes to play more competitively, that casual person who might play casually, they might over time get more into this, and then they start to say, hey, maybe I want to play more competitively as well. And I mean, starting off a little bit, on their level and doing what they want and building it towards them is going to lead to, like you said, what you also want to get out of it too, and maybe they evolve into a more hardcore player as well. And you helped them along on that journey, and that's a pretty good feeling.
Traveling helps too. If you can get people to come and take a trip with you to go and play the game and play against other people and see what it's like playing against a whole different group. And like, there's a whole different level of camaraderie that happens once you start traveling with people for games and gaming.
It's true. It's 100% true. I think so.
And it's just too easy to start skipping steps to try to want to get people to that place, because it's not for everybody. Not everybody can. Not everybody wants to. Not everybody will. And not everybody will do it, once a month or once a week.
I will just say, it's not easy. It is a lot of hard work. You definitely have to have a passion for wanting to build a community and wanting to bring people into your game. It's hard to do, but if you do it well, people really appreciate that, and they like having that area to come to. And if you help facilitate that so that people get out more and are seeing more people and having fun with you all and making more friends, it's like a really great feeling. I mean, that's personally what I get the most out of this, is I just enjoy seeing people play this game, getting as hyped about it as I do, and then everyone hanging out and just talking about this stuff. It's a great feeling. I think that's why I've done it for so long, is just because I love doing it. It's stressful. It does, it's not always stressful, but it's a lot of hard work. There are going to be some stressful times, but it's just, my point is, it's hard work, but I promise it's worth it for what you get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, being a bandit carrier is not always the most fun thing to do, right? So if you're running events and you can't play in them, then you're taking on a whole different level of responsibility.
Yeah.
And every area needs somebody who's willing to do that. And finding who that person is can be just as important as any other element of trying to build up your area and your group. Like, some stores have a dedicated person for a game, right? So you'll have a store and they elect a community member to be the person who helps facilitate this game. You have other stores that give an employee that job, and they're like, hey, you got to do this. You're the guy now. And then you've got other communities that get like none of that support, and they're basically doing it all on their own. And any one of those can work. You just have to have the people in place to do it.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
And I guess the last thing that I have to say about all this is you get to pick your favorite local game store. I hope you do. Maybe you only have one. If you only have one, then you got to like work on them and make them better. Make it a place you can love, right? But like if you've got options, you can pick your favorite game store. Maybe it's not the closest one. Maybe it's not the cheapest one. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but you can find the place that will work with you and help you build a community. Like find that place, and now that's your store.
Agreed. Well said.
All right. Well, I guess with all that said, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for having fun with us. I hope that you got something out of this. I'm going to play the outro, and we're going to go. We're going to stick around and chat for a little bit, but we'll wrap up the pod. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks a lot.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Maximum effort.
In this war, there's no surrender.
He's out of line, but he's right. Who the hell is Bucky?
You don't like a fair fight.
I think you're wrong. Which part? All of it.
Think you're the only superhero in the world?
Touché.
All right, we did it.
We did it.
Fuck.
Huzzah.
We did it.
I don't know why I'm so tired now, but that definitely made me tired. I took like a nap before this too.
I mean, it's 10:41 at night for me, so.
Oh, it's 7:40 for me. I live in Los Angeles.
What's your excuse?
I'm tired.
All I know is I do not have a good sleep when I drink, so tonight will be interesting, and I need to go drink some water before I.
Yeah, yesterday I'm lactose, but I was out with my girlfriend and we got like ice cream, and then I got like a tall can of Foster's, and
Hell yeah.
I had like one of not a terrible night's sleep, but I was like, this was a mistake.
Hey, we have something in common there, right there, Hyper, because this guy as well.
Nice.
Ooh,
Pleasure to meet both
buddies.
of you in person. Well, sort of in our little fun
In digital
online
person.
Yeah, and I am gonna see y'all next time. Have a wonderful evening.
Good night. Thanks for hanging.
Night.
Later.
Bye.
Of course.
Have fun at college.
At college, and I'm just like, oh god, how many years have I been out of college? Oh god, how old am I?
It's just a joke. No, it's because he hasn't been on the cast in like 6 months or something. So. I was
like, you're asking me like, oh, you want to do the podcast thing? I'm like, wait, are you still doing podcasts? You're still playing Crisis Protocol, Sam? Ew. I thought you jumped ship at Shatterpoint like everyone else.
So I tried, and I really like Star Wars and I really like Shatterpoint. I got like zero problem for it, but it was just like Nova was kind of the last straw for me, because I got to play a decent amount of Shatterpoint and a decent amount of MCP. And even in the state that it was in, I was having so much fun just in the MCP room and just enjoying everything that could be for what it was. Whereas with Shatterpoint, like it's almost so for me, maybe this is, something that you're into. For me, Shatterpoint feels like a combination of tug-of-war, basketball, and bumper bowling. None of those things are my favorite sports. And so it just like it doesn't speak to me on the same level that this game does. There's something about these superheroes and this mojo that makes me feel real happy. And
like for me, it's just like everything I've heard about it. It's like, okay, and like I said, I'm just gonna stick with MCP because if I don't, but I'm also not the biggest Star Wars person. But like for me, it was like when I was watching it and I saw all the freaking cards and tokens. I'm like, people have complained about MCP and their tokens, and I look at this, and where are those complaints now? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Everyone, too many tokens.
It's all symbols. It is all symbols.
Yes, exactly. And I was telling people, I'm like, when I look at Crisis Protocol, outside of like 2 symbols like on the card, I get what this all is. They're like, yes, well, this is hunker down. This here is pinned. I'm like, this does not make sense to me. It does not make sense to me at all. And like, I try, but I was like, I can't get into this. I mean, everyone's like, oh, my characters don't get one shot off the board. I'm like, they weren't getting one shot off the board in Crisis Protocol. Like, Like, okay, I guess. Look. If, on certain levels of competitive play, sure they were. But
No,
I'm saying they
I
weren't one
agree.
shot because they
That's-
come back up next turn.
Yeah, but then I kept priority.
Well,
so
yeah, then they get.
You sack
then
of
they
shit.
get-
I'm not giving a demo, Chris. Jeez.
What was I
Yeah, that's
thinking?
not
Who wants to
so
have fun? When Sam's in the house, it's like fun. Anyway, here's
I
Thanos
agree,
here.
Shatterpoint's been cool. I've been playing it a lot, and I haven't played it like leading up to before Nova or anything. And then after Nova, I started getting some random games in pretty consistently. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but I'm not doing anywhere near what I'm doing with MCP with Shatterpoint. I'm buying specific stuff that I think is
Yeah.
cool.
And that's where I got
That's
with
what I'm
it too.
playing, and I'm leaving it at that. Yeah, dude, I'm not gonna try to make something super maximized and try
Yeah.
to do.
Well,
I thought about
tournaments
doing
and
that.
all
I might buy the Grievous kit maybe because I love Grievous and like that's a cool model. But like outside of
Dude,
that,
the models are models are incredible.
they're pretty cool in like size and everything like that. Like I don't think, but I'm just like I already got enough of a backlog of gray, and as I just add one more, I already had Bullseye beforehand, so that's just gonna go to someone else at some point. But then we got the core set coming out, and I'm probably gonna get Wakanda Falls, as well. And I'm like, and then I'm taking a break from buying anything because I have no interest
That's
in
what
the X-Men
everybody
stuff.
says.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get the X-Men stuff. People say I have to
No,
buy
I'm with
everything.
you.
I'm like, no, you don't. You totally don't have to buy everything. If you
No,
want
I
to,
was
sure.
like that at first too, but I had to dial it back myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I even now I'm like, it's not like I got rid of my Shatterpoint stuff that I did pick up, but I sold the core set terrain to basically like keep the cost for the buy-in down to begin with.
Yep.
And then on top of that, I like only bought the things that I wanted to play with. So that's all I've been doing. It's just playing the same stuff that I was playing with. Which
Right.
means I certainly don't have anything to talk about at like a competitive level for that game because I'm just like, no, I played these two guys.
I think when the stream broke earlier, it might have messed up my recording because when I left right now, it was at 0% and it wasn't changing.
Yeah, it's still kind of doing that now, but it says you only have 1 megabyte of audio. So this would be fun. We just created a fun problem for Dizzard. It's good
Well,
stuff.
it sounds like it's not a you or me problem.
Oh no.
Okay.
I'm scared to know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you just keep like the browser window open or something for a bit? And
I think he left already.
awesome. Partially
That second
uploaded.
bit.
Send upload link. What?
Yikes.
Yeah, that would be a real shame.
Well, I mean, we'd have a couple of weird silences that probably needed to be edited out, but it would have been much worse if we'd lost you, Chris. That.
He said he needs to log in and leave it open.
Yeah.
That'd be a problem. I know I
do
seem to
it
rant
again.
sometimes, so.
And leave it open.
You know what's like really funny? Like to me in my head, I was like, maybe I should not mention Malekith too many times because people might hear this and be like, "Oh, he's a degenerate Malekith player." I'm like, "Bitch, I wasn't playing the guy for like over a year."
You missed the entire heyday
He's on
for
the
him.
painting table most of the day.
No. I got some heyday. I did a beatdown on Andy with him that was so fucking glorious. I was like erect for the day. It was so fucking good. I still have dopamine off of that where I think he was playing Strange, Hulk, and Dynamo into me, and I had Cap, Malekith, and Vision. And on that game, I can't remember exactly what happened, but on turn 2, Malekith charged up, smashed, one-shot Crimson Dynamo, beamed down Hulk and Doctor Strange, one-shot Strange with that beam, put Hulk down to half HP. Then next turn they came into me, and I KO'd Dynamo, and then something else happened. He's like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, all right, Andy, I'm never allowed to complain about my dice. Because every single, I think I got 8+ damage on every beam on the first beam shot I did. I was like, Jesus Christ. It was so, I said, you know what?
It's
I was
gotta
like-
happen sometimes, though.
I'll be honest. He was my, I can't beat Andy. Malekith is my, okay, we pray to the dice gods and see how it goes. It was,
Take that,
I stopped
Andy.
playing him after the tournament that I went to of yours, Sam's, where I played against that one. I think it was Mary was her name, and she played Criminal Syndicate into me, and I dropped Malekith down, and I went, I feel really bad about this. And it was before his nerfs.
Ooh, he said you fat. Called you a fat little puppy. Ooh, hold on.
Wait, what?
What?
Wait a minute. That escalated quick.
Yeah, I was like, who's that directed at? Is that me? You can tell, like, what my-
Episode's got a new name now.
I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna be done with this, and my wife's gonna be like, "Honey, how'd your
Oh.
podcast go?" I think I just got called a fat little puppy.
Damn it, that wasn't being recorded. What a bummer.
Would have been a good soundbite.
That would have been like the intro soundbite right there. Man.
Right.
Fat little puppy.
Wait, what?
Oh. Ooh, hold on a minute.
You find a fat little puppy?
No, I just got some. I got better news than a fat little puppy for me.
Uh-oh. I mean, good?
Sarastro just uploaded a new how to paint video for the new Red Skull on the new core box.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm very excited about.
Is that how good
so-
you have to be to get advanced copies? I really need to get my one thick coat painting channel up off the ground. It's like, bleh, bleh.
I mean,
It's beautiful, isn't it?
There's some YouTube channels that have gotten it early and stuff like that. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not surprised Sarastro got it early.
No,
I mean,
I'm not
he did
either.
Yeah, he got them. He did the music for Shatterpoint, like the actual trailer music. So like, he's doing work for them anyway.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, they commissioned him, I think, to do it. So that's his soundbite you hear at the start of the Shatterpoint trailer. But I'm very excited about that one just because it's cool to see a new update. And I knew he was going to be doing video tutorials for the other stuff.
Nice.
And that was honestly the one where I was like, that's where I started, where I was like, I want to make the cube look good. So I followed their tutorial and I went, holy shit, this looks good. What else can I do? And then I just started following that and it just got better over time. And I'm like, all right, this is fun. I can do these things I didn't think was possible. Find a good tutorial and you can do anything. I mean, that kind of
I
feeds
know,
into.
we didn't do listener questions.
We did not do listener questions. Do we have any?
There's like 3 or 4 in there.
Oh no.
Well, we'll save them for
Whoops.
next week. I
What
thought
have
we got
done?
those. I thought we got those. I thought we covered everything last week. But probably some new ones. Yeah, I mean, so be it.
Yeah.
It's too late now.
Come back, everybody. Come back.
Bring him back.
Wait, we gotta do listener questions. Hold on, part 2.
Yeah, dang it. Hyper's just not. It's just not uploading at all.
Uh-oh.
Dessert. Well, here, let's see if I can pair my round. That's always fun. I don't know, Joey, what do we have for listener questions? We'll answer them now here on the fly, and nobody will ever hear them. It'll be great.
I'll start at the bottom. It said, what do you think is the most meta impactful change with respect to the updates?
Oh, man. Wasn't it like the
Holy
entire
mackerel,
last show?
asked that.
I was gonna say, didn't you all just do I listened to your last podcast. I was like, I feel like that entire discussion was about
Was it up there?
It might have been. I don't know. So, all right, what is it a week later? I mean, that's fine. Even if we talked about it last week, like, what is it for you a week later? Having restricted cards for me, like it's not like meta warping or
that's
anything.
pretty
It's just
sweet.
my experience with the game feels way better. I don't feel like I'm running away from rabid wolves with no protection in mud. Like now, it's like I can actually like play the game, and when they drop like 5 damage into Thanos, he doesn't only have 3 left. He has like a patch up's worth left.
I think the biggest change, like I say, I think the Malekith change is the biggest. I think that does a lot. Like for
Yeah.
just not being as splashable. Like I forget who had mentioned this. I heard someone talk about this before. I think like for now it's like if you're gonna play Malekith, you're just gonna play him in Cabal. I don't think you're gonna see him splash nearly as much anywhere. Like I'm still gonna run him in Cabal because I think he's a cool model and I like the character. They're neat. I think I just like big models, and so it's like now it's not just a splash everywhere kind of situation. So I think that one changes a lot of things, as well as like you said, the Thanos thing. But I think personally for me, that's the biggest one. That is the one that's like, yeah, that's going to change things for sure. Kaiju meta, I don't know if it's over or not. I think it might be though.
I don't think so. I think Malekith is still going to be splashed pretty regularly.
I don't think so.
Maybe
I
not
think-
initially,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
because the first change, he fell all the way off. Right? I don't remember seeing much Malekith at all after that first change.
Oh, I think he was still
Where-
popping around.
But then, yeah, of
The
course he
nerf,
came
the
back
nerf
and he
reaction
still
is always
was
to
bad.
just be like, no, like no.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I feel like it'll kind of peter off a little bit, and then another month he'll be right back in everywhere that he used to be. I think.
I think, and I'm still surprised by this, I think Hulk's going to be the new Splash Everywhere model. For a point less, he still is incredible, and I'm so surprised his throw did not get changed to become 3. I'm still not over that one. That's just shocking to me. But, I mean, we'll see what happens, I guess. But
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, if they were gonna change him,
it's
I
fine.
feel like they would have done it already.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, if you're gonna have a top dog, like that's the situation
Yeah,
for me where it's
yeah.
I guess I'm okay with it being Hulk. You know, like that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
same. That's
deserves
like what
it.
Dizzard just said too. There's so many tools to kill Hulk nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, especially like what we
true.
saw from Nightcrawler, who's just gonna drop a lot of damage into.
Can you explain that to me? How is he gonna one shot?
It's not one shot. It's the death of 1,000 cuts kind of a thing
Yes.
where he's just going to teleport all over the place, and then I think he can drop like 3 attacks like somewhat easily.
I think if I have to pull his card up because I
Same.
can't remember exactly, but it was like I believe it had to do with his spender, and if you run him in Red Skull 1, he can like just keep popping
Yeah.
up. As long you have to get some specific results, but as long as you do 1 point of damage, his spender costs 1, and every time you've teleported that turn, I think he gets extra dice or something like that.
But I think you can only teleport a max of 3 times, right?
There's a thing in there that lets him, I think, teleport more than once. I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah,
here on my
you,
end.
you have the superpower teleport, and then there's the other one where you can teleport each time you do an attack. So I think it's only adds up to 3.
Let me see. All right, here's this card. I'm gonna pull it up on my end because I remember hearing about this in some areas too. So, under Red Skull 1's the one where I heard it the most. Let's see here. So it's card will damage deal. Haha. Okay, so add dice after transfer additional attack action depth. Original target. So once per turn. Oh, so look at Puff of Smoke. When this character makes an attack after damage is dealt, this character may use its superpower, place this character within 2 of the target character. And there's no restriction on it. And it costs 0.
So he's just
Right, but
popping
you can
around.
only ever make that how many attacks though?
Well, if you look at Brimstone Blitz, if he gets the crit hit, he can do another attack. But it has to target the
Oh,
same
there's no
character.
cap on that?
Nope.
Oh, that's
Max
gonna
of
get
16
changed.
dice and a total of 7 attacks. That's what Dizzard says.
There's no way that was definitely a mistake. That's gonna get errated so fast.
I hope so, because I'm
I
already a
mean,
little worried.
Especially under Captain America, new Captain America.
The new Cap is a little scary. I think new Cap is a little scary
Yeah.
in general. Like I feel like Thor is like going to be a completely different animal under that.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh, what if I basically always got my throw and my stagger off? That
Yeah.
feels.
I feel like that's why the
I-
Wild Tears had to change on Malekith as well. Well, I mean, yeah. Anyway, that
Corvus
was
is still here. Corvus under
Yeah.
Cap seems scary too. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Corvus and Prox, they both have that wild. Is it once per?
Blasphemy.
It's once per turn. I know, right? Bleh, bleh, I'm not here for that. I hear Thanos has a wild
Black Order
trigger.
under Cap. Dude, that was the test game I played yesterday. I
Yeah.
played my foes against Thanos. Yeah, he
What was-
still gets shit done.
Thanos, where was it? Black Order or was it?
He actually played him in Avengers.
Okay. Under New Steve. New Steve.
Yeah, and no, not New Steve, just regular
Okay.
Core Steve. Yeah, he still gets shit done.
It's actually funny. I didn't mention this on the podcast, but like one of my locals who hasn't played in a while, they went to go play Shatterpoint. They were talking about how there were certain things that were keeping out of the game, which I don't believe that's what was keeping out of the game. But they had a meme list that they made called Soldiers of Fortune, which was just all shield throw characters. And I told him, like, yo, dude, have you seen new Cap, by the way? And I was like, no, I haven't. Like, dude, I know your list was a meme, but I think with new Cap, it's no longer a meme. I think it's actually kind of legit. Like, it's not the most powerful
Absolutely.
thing, but it's actually pretty good now because his biggest
It's
thing that
a
he
lot of
needed-
dice.
Yeah, it's just, I throw things that ignore cover at all times, 4 dice, and I'm almost always going to
Yeah.
get my trigger, potentially. Like, it's not bad. It was like Cap, well, I guess you would use new Cap, Taskmaster, It was characters who were like
Guardian.
mercenaries and stuff. So I said Taskmaster. I can't remember if he had T'Challa in there for some reason. No, he had Bucky.
Oh,
in
was
there.
that on? Oh, wait, did I roll a wild?
No, no. This is a local friend of mine who.
Oh, okay. I just heard that on a podcast.
I think maybe they were already talking about it, like, hey, all these shield throws now are not bad for range 4 and stuff.
Yeah.
But my point was, he was like, oh my god, now I want to play this list. I'm like, dude, it's like I think a good list. He was talking about how Cosmic Ghost Rider was pushing him out of playing the game. He's like, I feel like I have to. I'm like, you don't have to play him. Like, people will solve the problem, and AMG has shown if there's a
Oh,
problem,
dude.
they'll correct it eventually.
Yeah, he's annoying at first, but if you play, I'd say 3 to 5 games into him and figure out how he plays, you'll be fine. I mean, he's just like any other big model.
You know what's really great into him? Fucking Claw. That was fun.
Claw is so awesome. I love Claw, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I modified my claw. I need to paint him, but I did a big mod on him and stuff, which is kind of weird. But like, yeah, I put like one thing to him. I stunned him turn 1, and he was like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "Yeah, suck it, nerd."
Yeah, and I mean, I've played into him a number of times. In 2 extremely notable times, he rolled 1 success for his power in the first turn, and I was like, dude, that sets the whole tone of the game for him
Yep.
right there.
It's really down to dice on that for him, but like, I
Mhm.
think the only thing you have to change on him, if you did have to change something, would be either making the chains once per turn or increasing the cost on it. And I think other than that, it's fine.
That's exactly what I said too.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
feel like I mean, yeah, he can travel downtown and
Yeah.
shoot you, which I said was great and brutal in Black Order. Everyone said I was crazy, but look at me now, Mom. But like, yeah, I feel like if you change that, I think we're talking something better.
Yeah, he was the new shiny, and he scared people, and rightfully so. I mean, if you look at him in a vacuum, he's an insane model.
I think it's because
I
him
mean-
and Guardians is gross, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the most notable games I played. It was the roster or the squad was him, was CGR, Hulk, Star Lord, Rocket, and Groot.
I saw him
At
play
20.
with Hulk. What was it? I think it was Captain America, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Hulk, and something. I think it was like those two. I can't remember. It was kind of gross.
Yeah, it's rough.
There was something I was gonna say. What was it? Shit. Oh, you know when everyone's talking about like with like Malekith being like egregious, I'm like, yo, but Bill existed. Bill put me in my place with Malekith a number of times. Like the last 2 games I
Yeah.
played with Malekith, my opponent just played Bill and said, "Screw you," and I was like, awesome. It was really great to
Yeah,
watch.
there's tons of tools.
Hmm.
People it's just easier to focus on that one big thing.
I will say in the defense of that, I only harp on this because I spent so long painting it, but I will say, for competitive players who knew what was going on and how he worked, it's like, okay, we can kind of deal with it. But for the new person who's just playing and starting the game, if they go into that, it is going to be kind of a negative play experience if someone knows what they're doing or just rolls decently. It's kind of like, damn.
But yeah, I mean that's on us. Like that's on experienced people or people that have been playing. You know better. I mean the long and short of it, you know
Yeah.
better. You know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because honestly, you can say the same thing. Like Malekith is easy because it's a giant model and he just erases people off the board.
He does.
But you can still say the same for like Web Warrior.
That
How
webbed
annoying would
upturn.
that be if
That webbed upturn.
No, I'm not even that. Like if you rock up on a new player, play like coward webs. That's just an annoying.
Oh
game.
yeah. Nobody wants
Just
that.
I
can't
need to
win,
try it
dude.
out because I have all like my web warriors painted, but I just haven't played them a lot because I'm always jumping around because I can't.
Oh,
can't
webs
do
are a
anything.
blast, dude.
Okay.
Webs are super fun.
Let me just say, by the way, new Daredevil, all webbed up turn. If he's got power on him on his flip side to do the Devil's Deliverance or whatever it's called to do the extra attack
Oh yeah.
under webbed up, I'm like, oh my god.
Oh yeah. That's
I always forget he's a web warrior too.
Yeah, no, people forgot. I never forgot that. So when he got buffed, I was like, "Yo, like he's actually like a really good web warrior right now. Like I think you're gonna see him a lot more."
Yeah, well, like you just got the box. I was getting ready to pick up the box myself. I've been using I have the Shadowlands Daredevil
Yeah.
that I kind of proxy him for.
Yeah, that's what I did with him, but I was kind of like, I'll support the store. I already have Bullseye
Well-
because someone gave me an extra one a long time ago, and I'm like, I'll just give this Bullseye to like someone who doesn't have him or something like that and isn't going to pick up Daredevil. So
I mean, I like that model too. That OG Daredevil model is cool.
I am going to probably, because I like to mod my models as much as I can, I'm probably going to cut the wire on here, put the thing in the other hand, or I'm not going to be using it on the stone base. I'm going to get like one of the 40k like pillar models. I'm going to have him like leaping off of it. I think it'll look cool, and because it just seems weird that he's standing on the like little tombstone or whatever.
Right.
So I'll mess with it, find something cool to do with it. I just feel like the wire it's going to be harder to paint with that, and I just like him holding the two
That's fair.
like that.
Yeah, that's
so.
fair.
But yeah, he's great. I'm excited to try him out. I love that. I was thinking at first like maybe I just bring Toad continuing with the defenders, but I'm like, yo, Wong, like he did some
Wong's a
work in my last
beast,
game. And I didn't get a chance
Yeah.
to say it, but every time I've gone against Wong, the fucker's done work every single time. He's like, yo, slap back, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? He just burst his crits.
Yeah.
And now
Absolutely.
under Daredevil, he gets a reroll.
He gets his rerolls. That's right.
One,
Yeah, Wong's awesome.
Yeah, I mean he enables the Wolverine
Oh.
turn one all no matter the cost turn, so that's cool.
hmm
Everyone's talking about that though. This is not brand new information, but it's gross.
Right.
No.
Yeah, Wong's great. I'm pretty hyped to try some more defenders. I played defenders a lot, before the changes and stuff. And Midnight Suns was one of my main rosters for a long time. So
Yeah, that's the thing.
yeah, I'm
People
curious
always
to
say
try that one out.
People always say that Blade is bad, and I'm like, Blade's great. He's
Absolute nonsense.
it's just
The buff that he got is super cool.
I do wish it was
But
just
I
auto
wasn't.
pursuit.
Yeah, well, it's a hit pursuit, but
Yeah, I just wish it was he just gets pursuit if he wants to.
oh, I got you. Yeah, I agree. But either way, I wasn't expecting him to get anything. I fucking love Blade, and I love the fact that people hate on him because whenever
yeah.
Blade does what he's supposed to do, then they're like, oh shit.
That spender is one of the best spenders in my opinion in the game.
It's so good, man.
It's
It's
so
so good.
I also
And auto bleed Pierce
mhm.
builder. He's incredible, man.
It was so funny because I was actually playing defenders because I went on like the Morlocks podcast, and it was an episode where he's like, hey, we're gonna take a character no one plays and make him and throw him in a list, and we're gonna construct a list. So mine was Taskmaster, and we built it around defenders with Taskmaster, which by the way I mentioned in that podcast. And I was
nice.
like, man, it feels weird he doesn't have the shield throw, but yeah,
Right.
howdy.
Oh shit.
It's coming in. Dad's here. Everybody.
I told you can get more people in here. It was a
Yeah,
bit-
no,
busy.
it's never a problem.
Quick,
Just,
act busy.
it was Ben's browser.
How dare.
All right, I got the email.
Okay. You guys are sleeping on the fact that Cable is going to run the meta.
Oh, I'm not sleeping on it. I
No,
know
love
it's
him.
coming.
no one is sleeping on that.
You're
Yeah.
talking about Malekith and Hulk, and people are like, Cable who?
No, I'm not. Well,
It's just clickbait. We're
Yeah.
just trying
You're
to
just a
clickbait people
bully.
into the convo.
look,
Oh,
I'm just
yeah.
mad that I got GW'd still, okay? I get to harp on it, but like, that's fine. But no, I'm like, I know one of our locals, he's like, he just picked up all the X-Force stuff because he's excited to try out Cable. I'm like, yeah, that model is amazing and awesome. I love Cable. He's a cool model. I'll play him at some point, but I'm hyped on other things right now. But like, he's great now. Like, I think there's some merit to bring him in just old cap Avengers even, you know? Like, it's just so much good shit. But people forget he's an Avenger too. I'm just like, are y'all crazy?
Who's that? Cable?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's great under. I was gonna run him in Strange and just start, give everybody 4 extra defense dice every turn.
I am trying to decide if I want to run new Daredevil with Sorcerer Supreme Strange because I love that model. It doesn't like synergize super well, but they need some Mystic in there, and I'm like, it could be fun. I don't know. We'll see. It's testing for another time.
Testing.
Yeah. I've actually
alright.
never used him.
I love him.
Who?
He's great. He just
Oh,
can get,
Daredevil?
you know, Sorcerer Supreme.
Strange.
Mm.
He's so good.
Well, now that Juan actually works with him, that change.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it changes much, but it changes a lot.
Oh, we were just talking about how good like new Wongers is. Every time I go against that dude fucking does work. And this week he did work under Daredevil's new leadership. He's like, yo, suck it, fucking Deadpool, and KO'd him.
Well, it's very much people keep asking me like, why Juan for X-Force? And I'm like, well, what does X-Force suck at? They suck at removing conditions and healing themselves because they're not playing patch up. Yes, they have healing factor characters, but when I could make myself full health instead of just like on 1 or on 2, that's a big difference. Like, it gives me lets me keep exceptional healing. Ever since I put Juan on the list, I have not needed to use exceptional, which is kind of
Wow. Yeah. That 2 heal, I always like. I played him a little bit on and off, but I've been playing him more since I started playing. There was a list I was running him in, but I always forget that his heal is just 2. I always think it's like 1 for some reason. I'm like, oh my god, it's 2? Are you kidding me? It's so good.
I thought it was 1, and we looked at the changes, and I was like, his heal went to 2. It's like, no, his heal's always been 2. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
It's always been 2.
Every time I go against him, I'm always like, what the fuck? It's heal 2? And then it's like, yeah, I just pass off my action and I gain a power. I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, one of those is not even an action, which is always what throws me off. It's like, gain power. It's the throw power to someone is not an action. It's he can do action, or I think the heal's an action.
Yeah, the heals in action and meditates in action.
Yeah, but the passing power is not an action. So when he passes the power and then does 2 actions, I'm like, whoa, hold on, wait, you can do 3 of those? It always seems like those should all be actions, and that's not. I'm like, oh my god. Well,
the crazy thing too is you could heal multiple characters. The power isn't once per turn; it's be affected by it once per turn.
Oh yeah. I got it. I'm gonna be playing them more because then the defenders.
And it's only 1 power.
I tried playing X-Force the other night. I got my ass kicked.
Oh no! You didn't believe. That's the problem.
I didn't believe.
You tried adopting the X-Force.
Oh yeah, man! I was not born in the X-Force. I merely adopted it.
This was already in X-Force, and by the time he had been, and then by the time Cable had been updated, he was already a man.
I liked X-Men more. Good, I liked Scott X-Men more. It still felt weird playing Scott because he's like my third least favorite X-Men. But it was fine.
Did you play Cable under Scott?
I did not play Cable under Scott. No, I didn't. No. I'm good. I'm sure he is.
I would like to say, by the way, Diz, like I did listen to y'all's podcast last week, and I'm just like, thank God someone else understands why you can't give Cable a 6-die range attack, and you can't just give him auto incinerate.
Who did the numbers? That was like episode 1.
Years. I have been doing it for. Yeah, no, it really was. One of our first episodes was very much like, this is why Cable doesn't need a 6-die attack because this is stupid.
I mean, he basically has a 7-die attack now. Tell me I'm wrong.
I was gonna say, arguably, his how it is now is almost worse than doing a 6-die attack in a good way. Like, bad for the community, good for Cable, and good for me.
It's great for me.
When people tell me how characters like need to be balanced, I'm always like, "Are you high?" Like people are like, "Here's how you have to make Thor better. You have to make him more defensive and all stuff." Like, no, the dude has so much potential to pop off, and when he pops off, he runs the board. All you need to do is make him immune to shock and make his AOE a little bit cheaper. I think that's all you need to make him better. And then they did that, and then they gave him more, and I went, "Oh my god!" Like people are going to.
Funny story. I played against a person playing Thor earlier today.
Let's go. Here we go.
This is your rage critter?
Yeah, dude.
Round one. I'm a bully now. Playing Shadowlands Daredevil, and it was Senator. So Grunts grab 1 past the Cable. Daredevil goes and grabs his Senator, which ultimately means that he's like, well, I got to get something with Thor. So his Thor moves and grabs my Senator, and I'm like, game on. So
why?
Cable 2 taps Thor. And throws a building into him, killing Thor. And I figured, like, because he didn't brace, and I was like, he probably didn't brace. He's gonna save for his backside.
Right.
Like, I needed to brace there. I'm like, that's fair, but arguably, I think it's better to save it.
Yeah.
It's
Because
not like an exceptional healing or anything, right?
Yeah. But
yeah.
But then like round two starts, and I go Cable, and I leave him. I could do 5 damage on him with Cable, and then he goes up and he patches up Thor with 5, and then I It's already burned Brace. He's incinerated, and then Deadpool goes Bane, 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 and just down Thor from 0 to 8.
I was like, wait, how do you do 4 banks? Oh, just double tap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't think about Cable under Shadowlands Daredevil. I love playing Shadowlands Daredevil.
He wasn't under. No, it was Cable leadership.
Oh.
That cover is cool.
I
the getting around cover for him is that's a really cool element to leadership.
I underestimated the getting around cover. I talked about it in the Omnis episode we did earlier this week. Talk about Cable, and I honestly think that getting rid of cover is probably the most broken part of the leadership now.
I mean, that's a unique part of the leadership that I think is great. Like,
yeah,
and I think you even said about most of the stuff is already within range 3 anyway, which I was just like, yeah. I mean, honestly, only Cable's like I think the only one outside of range 3 in most of X-Force. So like, you know, either you're in range 2 getting your rerolls or whatever like that, or you're Cable.
Range 3 getting rerolls. He gets rerolls at 3.
Right.
Yeah, it's 7 dice builder.
But it's like
it's fine. Everything's fine.
But then it's like within 3 you get rid of the cover, and like I just shoot, throw, shoot, body slide. I'm happy. I can do whatever the hell I want.
Do you ever call it the boot scoot and boogie when you do it?
Hell yeah.
Probably should.
That should just be the nickname for it from now on. It's a great one. I love it.
I'm very much of the opinion though that you just go Cable Deadpool, and that is what you play.
That's the start.
Everything else doesn't matter. Like you just play Cable Deadpool, and they like every game that I have played with new X-Force is Cable Deadpool are the workers of the game, and everybody else is kind of just there, and it's insane. You go from having the 2 worst characters in the list to being the 2 best characters in the list by a long shot.
Have you played much Syndicate yet?
I
yes,
want to play
it. It was too easy. Sad. Like I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being
Kingpin Syndicate?
hyperbolic. Yes.
How are you scoring any points against them?
They just die.
No, they don't.
So
they'll have damage reduction and they don't die.
Okay, but Kingpin is rolling 2 dice against Cable once he's incinerated.
He has to get incinerated. You got to roll the wild still.
I don't think you understand how efficient Cable is in X-Force.
I played 1 game with him. I absolutely understand how efficient he is.
I'm basically an expert now.
I'm basically an expert.
I listened to a podcast and I talked about it one time, so I'm pretty much an expert.
Okay, so when you have also to be fair, I played Gene in that matchup, so I'm pulling them off of points.
Okay, like we actually talked about this right before
That's
we
fair.
started the podcast. Anyone who's like said, I've heard people say like, "Oh, Jean doesn't seem that good." I'm just like, "Are you fucking insane?"
Her kit's on. Her kit's on from turn 1 now, which
Everything
is
except one
a
thing on
difference
her
maker.
kit is not on
Yeah.
turn 1.
Okay, so to be fair, I think she's a very hard card to read and gauge correctly based off of reading. Because I was rather down on her. I'm like, she gained Pierce on her builder. And then I'm like, not taking into the fact that she's actually starting the game with 3 power.
That's the
It's like
thing.
she can-
It's the 3 power.
That is the thing. The fact that she gains 3 power in the power phase is what makes her amazing.
Oh, get out of here with that shit. I am excited to
See that green stuff skirt? Look at that green stuff skirt.
Hell yeah. I am excited to see Hello on the table again. That makes me very happy.
I've had a few games with Hela that she's very fun. I still dropped her for Loki in the end. But it's not that she flunked her tryout or anything. It's just that I really like Loki as the 4th threat with Black Order. She did an amazing job being a turret. She did an amazing job being someone that could eyes on the prize
Yes.
to get an objective early, keep a lot of options open, or have a safe grab. And what really blew me away about her was that like I just didn't mind that at all, because it was just like, just grab the thing, stand on this point, score me points, and be a turret. And if anybody gets close to you, then but she couldn't turret before. She could only turret under original core set skull.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, because I forgot that her thing, her capture souls was 2 cows back in the day. So when I saw that update, I was like, oh fuck yes.
Mm-hmm.
So very excited about that. But yeah, I mean you're right.
So like the coolest thing about Jane under X-Force is like when you get to reroll. So and if you reroll to the skull, you really don't care.
Yeah, it's a net win.
like
if you roll 2 skulls, you just reroll one of those, right? Now you ignored the cover too.
And it's still a win. Then the other thing about it is the fact that X-Force sucks at displacement. So you're bringing a character and not only displaces your enemies' characters, but your characters too that have already activated, which means they're not getting back onto the point. So when you're playing the CS matchup, you're just like, oh, you count as 2? Well, now you count as nothing. You're not even on the point. Good
Oh
luck.
yeah, if they're not on the point, absolutely. Jeez.
So
I thought you were playing fair, Dizzard, you bully. Like I thought you were just trying to shoot models off of points with cable. You're like cable.
It's okay. You got cover. You can deal with that.
Cable.
You got cover. You're fine.
You've seen my list. This is why, like honestly,
Maybe
like,
I haven't in a couple days because last time we talked, you were like maybe Gene, and I was like I don't know, it's maybe Mimi, but you know, you do you.
But it's very much like I think X-Force might actually be keyed up to be the best at Scoundrels right now. Like that's not
the second shot worries me, right? Because I feel like you want to be taking like multiple shots at him.
Okay,
but...
so why is the second shot worried when 90% of X-Force has a teleport or a movement based off of the first attack?
I don't know. I haven't played X-Force enough. It's not my flavor. You have to kill stuff and score points. That sounds hard.
So here's
kill stuff or score points. Like
here's the thing with Scoundrels with X-Force
kill stuff
is
to score
X23. X23 uses her spender. She gets to ignore cover on the first one because she's within range 3 anyways. Then she moves next to you. Well, now she's ignoring cover anyways for her second attack because she's next to you. Wolverine has Berserker Barrage or Best at What I Do. His first attack, no, yes. Second attack. Deadpool has his place if he wants it, or he can maximum effort and dance party towards you. Psylocke has TCE and Cybo. You could Cybo, ignore cover for the first one, and then move into place and get on point for the second one. Colossus. This is Colossus.
I'm falling asleep.
I forgot about
This is too
Psylocke, by
much.
the way. I was like, oh god, I love playing her, but now her and Cable, Jesus.
I thought you took Wolverine out.
She doesn't matter. X23 rolls like crap for me. She rolls great against me, so I understand her like potency. It's like I have not played against an X23 that wasn't just like 5 hits and a pierce. I was like, well
that was
okay.
the other thing, too, that, the guy I was playing, I was like, because he went with Cage, and I'm like, well, I don't want to go with 23 yet because he's just gonna kill Cage because Cage had was on 2, like he had 2 health taken, so he had 4 left, and I'm like, 23 is gonna go, and I can't kill Cage because I lose priority then. He's like, 23 can't. He's like, 23 can't kill Cage, and I'm like, bet. Like, what? One shots him. I'm like, okay.
Also, I just saw
but
something- I was gonna say, I just found something truly horrifying. I just looked down, and it's the old Daredevil artwork. Oh God.
I wish you and
so
Jared
comfy.
could play because Jared's CS is so different than like anybody else's CS. He does the CS that I fully think is like a better way to play Kingpin Syndicate, which is a little taller, a little thicker in general. It's a different play style than the spam them out wide.
Kingpin, Ulik, Rhino.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I played against, and it was fine.
And Omega Red.
No.
It was fine.
No.
Like
Omega Red. Let's
it
go.
was. I'm more scared of Inhumans than I am of Kingpin.
I was gonna say I'm like.
That's because of who you play. Who plays Inhumans?
Around now.
That's fair.
I'm pumped to play.
I pulled out X-Force against Jared on Saturday night, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna play X-Force?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, okay." I played against X-Force more than I've played against anything else because literally, like all the dudes that he played for like the past year were just like, "I just like to play Weapon X and X-Force," because that's all that like these dudes wanted to play. So, Riverside is not finding a recording for Hyper Viper.
That's good, right?
No, it's terrible.
Uh-oh.
Means we made work for Dizzard.
It's
what happens
okay.
when you go to another podcast?
All right, let's do it again.
Let me go refill my wine real quick. I'm gonna tell my wife I'm not coming to bed tonight.
How bad is it gonna
All
be?
right, I'm gonna end the stream. And just like that, we've been the Rogue Agents, and well, you've been the listener. Thanks.